What's up, everyone? I'm back with another episode of the Keep Going podcast. Today, my guest name is Sonny Das. This guy is a great friend of mine. He's an MMA fighter, a father, a farmer, husband. I mean, the list goes on with this guy. He's a special human being that has nothing but kindness to give, and I really appreciate him taking time to talk with me today. I think you all will enjoy the convo. Thank you for listening as always, and keep going. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming by.
Thanks for having me.
First episode in the crib.
Yo,
Comfy. I appreciate you.
cozy for sure.
But, man, Sonny, for the people that don't know, I want them to get a brief overview of who you are. We'll go into stories and all of that, but just who you are, where you from.
Well, I'm Sonny. I mean, a man of many hats.
For sure.
I'm originally from Guyana, born there, then grew up in New York, northeastern Pennsylvania area. So kind of the northeast. Yeah, I mean, moved around a lot because of the military, so I really don't claim anywhere. I've found home everywhere I've went. So
I was curious about that. With the military, did you bounce around because your parents were in it too, or just you?
no, it was just me, and it was just through different training schools. It wasn't like crazy moves. My biggest move was here. After training this was my first duty station down there in Midwest City, and I just really like Oklahoma, so I was like, I'm never moving again.
It's crazy because, so New York, and then you got into the military there? Because that was something I was curious about, because I know the military history, but I don't know like when it started or not.
So I first moved to Queens because my dad's family they all stay in like Queens, New York. Now they're all moved out and dispersed, but like that's where we were all like localized. Mm-hmm. And then, for a little, we lived in Canada too, Toronto area, but like for a couple of years when I was really young.
That's pretty cool.
Going through like immigration things, just killing time, blah, blah, blah.
Young
stuff
enough
like that.
To where you don't remember, or you remember?
I remember some parts, like going to the pool at the apartments and like hanging out with my cousins, but like nothing like, you know what I mean, definitive to where it's like, I just remember the apartment.
Yeah.
Did that, went back to Queens, lived with my aunt and uncle downstairs, you know, like the multifamilies.
Yeah.
Like, just like that. And then my dad moved us to Long Island when I was in middle school, like 6th through like 8th grade.
Okay.
And then after that, he built a house in the Poconos. We moved up to Pennsylvania. It was like 2 hours away. And that's where I finished high school, and that's where I joined the military. Because I was enlisted before graduating. Like I was in like a delayed entry program deal that they do. But yeah, I left for the military out of Pennsylvania, and then the military took me to Texas, Mississippi, Texas, Oklahoma.
Dang.
But yeah, like through it all, we just traveled the coast and just kind of.
Because you all road trip a lot, you and your family.
Yeah,
that's your thing.
Yeah, that's kind of what we do. It's like, let's see how far we can drive. So
I remember when you told me, you're like, yeah, I'm going to watch Emily's fight in New York. We're driving. We're leaving tomorrow. I was like, what?
yeah, no, we've got that drive down completely. Like to Detroit and to New York, Pennsylvania, that's like memorized.
Easy.
It's like back.
You're like, you take the 16 to the.
Bro, yeah, you take 44 all the way through Missouri, and then you get on 55 through Indianapolis, and then you go up and take 80 across, I think it is. So it's like not even bad at all.
When you got to Oklahoma and you were still doing military stuff, when you got out of the military, is it here?
Yeah, I just stayed here. Yeah,
okay.
it was in Midwest City. Tinker Air Force Base was our first like permanent duty station because we worked AWACS, and that is like the only base with AWACS. So
and AWACS is the mechanics, or what is it?
The airplane, the E3 Sentry, like
the type of plane.
The one with the big antenna on top,
like the disc.
Yeah, the big rotating. Yeah, that's what Aranda and I did. And this is like, there's like some in Japan and some in Alaska, but like this is home station.
That's so crazy. I always find out like when there's this softball stuff going on every year.
Yeah.
I'm like, Oklahoma's the hub.
Yeah, so and it's crazy because we're 4-time natty champs, dog.
Yeah.
Every 4 times.
It's pretty crazy that there's these things you don't know about from where you're from.
Yeah, it's crazy, for sure.
You did MMA and stuff in the military, or did you get into that when you got out?
While I was in the military, I just trained jiu-jitsu. I started at American Top Team in 2012 originally,
While you're still in the military.
while I was still in the military, and then we had kids, and then I took a 4-year hiatus, and then I was like, we should get back into it, and then I convinced her, and I was like, you should start coming, blah blah blah, and that was in like 2016, 2017 ish, and I found out American Top Team literally moved a mile away from my house.
Yeah, because it was on Britain.
It was so Britain, so it was like we started going training again. So I was like, G was like, "You want to fight?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll fight." That sounds fire. We started just fighting.
Was that a busy season at the gym for fighters? Because you all fought a ton in your first year, but like, was that a more fighting? Because they fight a lot now too, but I feel like there was a handful of.
Oh yeah, because back then it wasn't a lot of us, but it was consistently everybody's going. Like I had 7 fights. I think Aranda had 7 or 8. Emily was like going at that time with Bellator. Shakira was like doing Bellator. Brandon was doing Bellator. Excuse me. We had a couple other guys that aren't at the gym anymore that were also fighting. So it was crazy.
And that's a big. Well, with so many people, it's gonna like you said, keep rotating.
It was like a constant rotation of someone in camp.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
So the training's even more intense because when it's camp time now, it's like hotter.
Everyone's dialing in. So it's like, yeah, you know how it goes.
You think that's how it fast tracked you? Because I feel like you're so talented. Was it just because you're getting that high quality instead of just reps? Like not only
it was
reps,
like
but
it
quality.
was just a few of us, and we were just always there.
It's like game speed.
Consistency. Yeah, and like when we were doing it, it would be like Brandon is teaching striking class, and the only 2 people in it were me and Josh.
Okay.
So it was like a private with Brandon, and then 30 minutes of sparring. And you know how Brandon gets. He's just going boom, 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 boom. But I fast tracked because I was trying to like use MMA at the time to like disassociate from decisions I had to make as an adult.
Yeah.
So it was like I was just hitting
and it was
hard.
almost like not vacation, but like there nothing matters. Because even now, if you go roll,
it's just
nothing
like,
matters for an hour.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
So like that's what I was using that for, and it was like I wasn't taking the training seriously because like I'm good at what I do, and if I had dialed it in more, I would have been better.
Yeah.
I was like the definition of hard work beat talent when talent fails to work hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like one of those where I was like, I was fighting again and again to erase the last L, but I wasn't training enough or taking the training seriously enough to actually get a W, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where the fast track came from. It was just me like, I need to fight again. I need to fight again. I need to fight again.
That experience is crazy.
It is, and I learned a lot, so I'm thankful I did it. But at the same time, I'm like, damn, I dug myself a hole. I'm on a 5-fight losing streak. Like, what? And I'm undefeated in kickboxing, but MMA-wise, I'm like, bro, I should have never lost this fight. This one was close. That would have been a toss-up. The referee called this one too early because he thought I went out. I did not go out. And then it was just me just losing, doing dumb things, making mistakes I wouldn't have made if I took the training seriously or trained more. You know what I mean?
You weren't training enough?
Correct.
Wow, that's
I would
surprising.
like miss days.
Okay.
I would like, you know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, I'm good now. I'm on weight. I'm good. Then I wouldn't train.
And on the, I don't think anyone in sports and athletics and even business get it as far as the mindset.
Yeah.
But something I like to ask folks is, what's a keep going moment that really propelled you forward? And for you to keep getting in the cage, like, I don't think people understand the mental. So how'd you keep going with that? How'd you stay locked in?
I just wanted to erase that L.
So you just keep.
Just like, nah, that wasn't me. I could do better. But at the same time, while I was doing that, I wasn't learning from the last loss. I was just kind of trying to move past it without taking what I needed to from it.
Like, I lost in this fashion, whatever, I'll just go do better.
Right. And
Instead
that was my
work on
mindset.
this.
Instead of, I need more repetition. I need more training. I need to take this more seriously. Instead, I was like, oh, I'll fight next week. Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I'm not that hurt.
yeah, like I'm not on a medical suspension. I'm going to go.
So in that first year, 8 fights?
7. I'm 2-5.
That's crazy how many, though. Like, that means almost like every 45 days.
Bro, it was nuts. I fought 3 times in October. The last year I fought 3 times.
And that's at 125, all of them?
The middle fight was at 130. It was kickboxing. And that was the last fight I won.
Did you feel a difference in the weight? Because that's not too far, but when you're cutting, it is sometimes.
I mean, the cut was way easier, but I was already on from the last cut. And that was a terrible idea because a week before I had cut and then lost. And then took this kickboxing fight. Didn't have to cut that much, so I felt good. Went and won the kickboxing fight. And then a week and a half later, I'm cutting again down to 125. My body never recovered from the first time I cut to 125. I got through 2 rounds of that kickboxing fight, even though they were 2-minute rounds. And I was like, my body was completely drained. I was like, I shouldn't even be tired right now. But I was like, what is going on?
That's what I was surprised about, is because when I fought, I thought I did a lot of training. But I cheated some corners. And I was surprised how fast I got tired. I was like, no, I'm legit tired. Like, I remember I'm so real. Like, I would just always say what's on my mind. And G was like, how you feel? I was like, man, I'm tired as hell. And he's like, you're not tired. I was like, nah, for real. Like, I am. So it just cracked me up. And I remember Shaq told me, you won't feel anything. It's adrenaline, bro. You're going to do your thing. Which he's great. Him, Rachel, G, y'all at the gym, everyone prepared me like super well.
But that adrenaline dump is nuts.
I remember kicking that dude's knee. My foot was swole after the first round, and I walked in to the stool, and Shaq was like, put the ice on my back, and I looked at him and I said, you're a liar, bro. I feel all this shit. And he just started laughing. He's like, you should, like, he was surprised that I was still like that conscious. Like, I was like, hey, you a liar, by the way. And then I'm like sipping water. But that is, I mean, because that's how we met. We meet at the gym randomly because I think there was a seminar. Like, I know we met before because you were having lunch with Tez.
Right.
And I met you at Hatch. I was like, this dude's pretty cool. And you were just how you are now. That's the thing that I really love, is because I'm blessed to be around people that are just as real as, like, I feel like I am to them.
Right. Just
and that same day, you were the exact same that you are right now, like the same mannerisms and all that. And we barely saw each other, you know, then there was like a couple domino nights, but then the time we started getting close, I remember you came to the gym for a seminar and I didn't see you at the gym.
Right.
And you and Aranda at the time were like, of course, in the group.
Right.
And we didn't know you. So when you showed up, everyone's showing all this love, and we're like, oh, we kind of know him, but... And then
me and you got people.
Yeah, and then we got to train more, which was really dope because you are skilled and you know what you're doing, and you have a background in wrestling and a background in all these fighting types now. But you're a really good teacher too. Like, I was talking to Shaq and I was telling him how I really appreciated him teaching me those things. But bro, once you started back training, even though it was periodically, since I was in my rush phase, where I was just training as much as possible,
yeah, like getting it in,
I was like, oh no, this guy knows stuff that these people aren't showing me.
Right.
And size-wise, I may be a little heavier, but for the most part, we can get like really great rolls. Like,
right.
I mean, I hate to show favoritism, but you're probably the top roll at the gym for me.
I just like going, so
and
it makes sense.
It's so safe.
Yeah.
So I'm like, no, I can try this. I can try this. I can try this.
It's like we're going, and we're both well versed enough to where it's like we can try things, and no, we don't have to like react crazy because you're not gonna crank something, and I'm not gonna go like.
Yeah, like you might grab my leg or get my arm in an arm bar, and I'm like, okay, like let you get to where you're going, and then tap.
We stop, and then we just go.
Most of the time, you stop before I tap or something because you're so used to it. But it's hilarious because I think that's something really cool about our gym. But I'm sure other gyms are like that too. But for the most part, you get good rolls, especially if you roll with the certain type of folks that are going your speed.
Right.
But when I got to roll with you, Josh, Trey, Shaq, those were like my four that I think I really appreciated the most because they were high level, because you all are so much higher than me, but so safe. I've never got hurt rolling with you four.
Right.
But I've got fucked up a million times. But like never hurt, and I just love that. And then we didn't strike very much, but I remember, it's always funny because people are like, I can't believe you remember that, because I've always got these random imprints.
Right.
And one of them with you is we had a Muay Thai seminar on a Saturday, and it was like 2 hours.
Yeah.
We were partners.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he's like way more fun than the other folks to be a partner with. And then a couple weeks later, we got to start sparring, and I never sparred you before. And I was like, oh, this is the best sparring ever. Like,
I don't try to hit hard at all. I'm just touching. I'm just touching them like, I could have got you here, bing, bing, bing.
I had other people I enjoyed sparring with, but then once I started sparring with you, and even to this day, I'm like, kind of like sparring with him a majority of the time. Now, like Josh and the other pros, they're fine. But as far as safety and getting to just be creative, with you, it's like that flow state.
That's what I'm saying.
To where I can get pieced up, but it's like, okay, it's like, well, you're going to get pieced up sometimes. Try something out of it.
Right.
Instead of just like shelling up or something like that.
The whole time, ping, ping, ping. Yeah.
And you're creative. So I think it's cool that, because I grew up playing basketball, and I felt like you could be very creative on that.
Right.
With your dribbling, your shot, whatever. But then I come to this sport, and not only are you crazy innovative on the jiu-jitsu wrestling side, but your kickboxing is so fun.
And it's like unorthodox.
Here's hooks, here's kicks, here's dips, because
Yeah.
you know how to move, and it's like, I could do this for 5 rounds.
Yeah,
like we could do this.
Minutes of this.
We could do this for. And
up.
I will say, I mean, it is cardio because you're getting in there and like throwing so many, but the safety is crazy. I think that's something that made me addicted to. Is you guys were just so conscious of that.
Right.
Now there was a break-in period where it's like, hey, you got to earn your stripes a little bit before we think
sure.
that
like,
you
we're
can
gonna
actually,
thump on you to
Yeah.
be like, oh, is he gonna hang or is he just trying to be UFC, bro?
Or how does he react to it? Like
Right.
if he's like, yeah, he wants to hang, but he's an asshole.
And
Or
then, you
then
gotta,
it's a
like,
problem.
Turn up on him.
Yeah, then it's a
you gotta
problem.
turn like, oh, he checking me. I'm gonna make sure he knows. Yeah.
So-
but you were never like that.
No.
That's why I was like, cool. It was like, oh, all right, cool. Then that's like how me and Josh like pick people to like, come here, let me show you the dark side.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's one of those like, you feel people out, and then when you realize like, oh, they just here to learn, then it's like, turn up. We gonna show you some things.
Bro, it's crazy because there's a circle, of course. Like
Right.
the gym is equal, which is something I really like. Like everyone's equal. You work out. You have to listen to the coach. You're sitting crisscross. Like the
All of
authority.
you are experiencing the same pain.
Well, yeah, and which is crazy is like I grew up not liking that.
Right.
I don't want that authority. I didn't even have good relationships with my coaches except 2 coaches. But then I met this like scenario and I was in love with it. And then I remember it was only a couple weeks because you hadn't been there yet.
Right.
A couple weeks in, Josh is like, "Oh, try this," or "Put your elbow here," or "Grab here," or "Don't do this here, but when you're doing it at a tournament, put your knuckles here." And I'm like, man, okay, cool. And then something that really propelled us is when I started doing those MMA rounds with you all. So you would show up, and I hadn't seen you in 4 months.
Yeah.
But then you would run rounds with me and Josh and a couple of the other guys, like early morning MMA rounds. And
Yeah, I remember that.
talk about disgusting. Like I always say, I'm not an early person. The only thing I wake up early for is hunting and hooping, or hiking.
literally.
3 H's. There we go. Triple H, baby. But those are the only 3. Like I will not wake up.
Yeah.
But we would do those 7 a.m. rounds,
Crazy,
and you
'cause
really
I don't
learn a
wake
lot
up.
about yourself on the not wanting to quit. Because there were some times I was just getting my ass whooped. And you go through the rounds because obviously we can tap and quit and all those
Yeah.
things. But bro, I'm like, damn, I really got to throw up. Like this shit is
At
crazy.
7 a.m., bro.
At 7 a.m. I'm like, and I'm too nice. Like I'm like, okay, hold on, I gotta like lock in. He's like beating my ass. Like you don't have to be
We
rude,
just
but
woke up. Damn.
but I'm not even confrontational yet for a couple hours.
Like, bro, I even had my coffee.
And something else that I appreciated is I remember when I fought, even though we hadn't really hung out much, we had a good relationship. And the first people to say something to me was Josh, and then you text me. And then Tez and other people were there and all that. But when I walked out the tunnel, Josh was right there. And then I grabbed my phone, and it was like, Sonny text me. And we hadn't even been talking like that.
Right.
And I was like, man, and I told Shaq this. It's cool to meet people as an adult. Like, you moved around a little bit, but I'm sure you have your day ones, just
Yeah,
like me.
absolutely.
I've got a baby picture of Sydney on my wall. I mean, that's someone I've known since 3rd grade.
Right.
And to meet you all at 26, 27 years old and to be brothers is so cool.
Right.
Because
Because, like, at this age, you pick who you want to be around.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you are choosing, you're making a deliberate choice on who you want to spend your time with, like, who you want to be around, who you want to associate with, who you want to be associated with you. As kids, you're just a collective.
like who's within my square mile?
Exactly. Like, whose
that's your
house can
pick.
I get to in
And that's
time?
your pick.
Yeah, like that's how you build your relationships. Like my day ones, like my boy Omar, he lived in the same community, but on the furthest side, on the other side of the community.
Okay.
So like, I'm on this new development side, and he's like one of the OGs of the original development, and that was like who we were like, oh, yo, and oh, he's Guyanese too? I never met another Guyanese person in Pennsylvania. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then that's just what it was. Like, we were a collective at that point. We were the community. Everybody in this community or this development, that's who we hung out with. Because we rode the bus together. You know, we saw each other every day. Shit like that. As an adult, it's a deliberate choice.
Oh,
It's like,
oh, man.
It's like, I I'm here because I want to be here, or like I'm gonna invite this person because I want to be around it. I want to share the time with this person. You know what I mean? So it's like, as an adult, that is crazy.
It seems to like mean more too, because me and you, like, we've already done a range of things, but we've got a lot of alone time on the hunting side.
Right.
Because you would just randomly hit me up and you're like, hey, we can go hunting here this day. And in the past, I feel like I would be like lazy on that, like just pass up on it, it'll come back. But as I've gotten older, I've appreciated it so much. You're like, hey, go here at this time. And then we go and we have the best time. I'm like, this deliberate type of actions are so rewarding.
Every time.
When it's mutual, it's so cool, because as kids, you had that, like, what is it? Not like honest rapport.
Right.
Because it's like, no, even though you only hang out with who's in your area, the ones that are your day ones now, they went through a filter, and you've got 3 of them or 4 of them, whatever it is. To have that connection and then feel that same, like, it's not necessarily kid-like, but that real joy.
Right, like you're a pleasure to be around.
Yeah, like we're out here playing as kids, it feels like, to go hunting, but we're grown-ups.
Right.
So it's just...
It's like, it's cool.
Crazy.
Yeah, to experience that. Absolutely, I agree.
And then I think it makes all the other connections cool, whether it's at the gym or whether it's business-related or just general life-related, because luckily, you're the first person I've had a real relationship with on, like, trading. Because it'll be like, hey, I've got some deer meat that's a little extra, you want some jerky?
Right.
Or, hey, I've got extra eggs or whatever. And I never had that before.
Yeah.
And then to have it as a young adult, or not young adults, we're 30, but to have it at our age is cool.
Yeah, I love that bartering stuff. Like, I love, like, trading off value to one another, to where it's like, you know, here's something I have. I don't know if you can use it, but please have it, because I have so much. Take it. You know what I mean? And then to get that reciprocated is always nice. But at the same time, it's like, bro, we should all be doing this. This is like, no one else is involved.
It's like a plus, because you do it just off the cuff.
Yeah,
it's just be like, genuine, like you don't expect something back.
Exactly.
But then you'll call me after maybe I gave you something, and you're like, hey, I got this. And it's like, damn, all right. I remember you called me and you're like, hey, I got some extra duck. Do you want it? And I was like, well, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then Rachel, her favorite meat is duck. So we ended up roasting it. And
hell yeah.
I was like...
Cause I go through so much. You've seen how that shit goes down.
Yeah, because
that's... and stuff. Like, you have 3 or 4 volleys of those. When you have some shooters, bro, there's bodies everywhere. Everyone has to take home bodies. So I'm like, always prepared to just give away meat.
What'd you do on the guiding side? So did you grow up hunting also? Or did you get into it around MMA?
I got into hunting when I moved to Pennsylvania, because I had a biology teacher that I thought was the fucking man. And he was also like the freshman football defensive coach. And I played cornerback for like a month and a half. So, but anyway, it was crazy because, you know, I grew up in Queens. Like, Queens was my thing, because that's where I remember all the cousins together, blah, 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 always having like the get-togethers. And then we moved out to Long Island, and that was like our first like dose of the suburbs.
Okay.
And then that was where like my pops was like doing his thing, and everybody was having functions at like our house. He had the big deck. He made like a basketball court for us out front. Wow. Like, it was cool. So like that's where we kind of grew through adolescence. And then I finished high school in Pennsylvania. So going through all that, it was kind of like, what's the word?
It's a crazy transition to go from
I feel like I
Queens
experienced
to that.
That's what I'm saying. It was like, I feel like I lived a lot of lifetimes
at a young age. Yeah,
at a young age. So
especially going
like,
to the military next.
And that was fresh off high school. Like, I was ready to get out of Dodge, and it wasn't because like I had a terrible home life. My parents gave us everything. My parents worked hard, so it was like we never went without, which was hella cool. But at the same time, like, I have immigrant parents, so it was like, bro, you couldn't do anything. And like for a long time, that was like, bro, it was like the biggest problem. Because for me, I had a problem with authority. Like, why are you telling me to do things without explaining to me why I shouldn't do things? That doesn't make sense to me. And it was one of those things where it was like, I just won't listen to it, because what you're just saying no. You know what I mean? And I mean, every teenager goes through it. It's like, you think you know more. At the same time, now I look back and I was like, they were trying to protect me, but bro, teach me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
not
let
just
me know.
Because I said so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, not just do as I say, not as I do.
Bro, swear. That
It's
must
like,
be a
bro,
90 babies thing.
I swear, because like we pretty much raised ourselves. Our parents worked. That's what it was.
3-4 jobs.
That's what I'm saying. Like my dad's biggest thing was he didn't want my mom to work, but my mom's a straight hustler, bro. That's where I feel like I get that from, because my mom is gonna go out and hustle. Period.
What's her name?
Debbie.
Debbie.
Bro, on God, she's like crazy. But anyway, between the two of them, like my dad was one extreme and my mom was the next. So it was like I felt like always being pulled in two different directions.
Okay.
Ultimately, so it was like yeah, cool, make my parents proud, but at the same time, they're so like, you have to go to college, you have to do this, you have to get a job, it's this, or that. And I'm just like, that doesn't interest me at all.
Yeah, they gave you like structure and options.
And that's what I'm the most grateful for, because like my parents really parented us.
They did it right.
And it was one of those things where, like, as a parent, now I'm realizing parents don't parent their kids.
No.
So, like, looking back at it now, I'm grateful for everything my parents did, because it made me who I am today. But now I'm free to, like, take what I took from that and be me as a person.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's like, thanks for, now you have to trust your parenting. And it's crazy because, like,
Yeah, what is that like?
out and about, it's like, I'm very yes, sir, thank you, very polite, manners, boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
But you see me around the homies, like, I don't know how to act half the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, son, so chill. Because I know time and place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something my parents drilled into me, time and place, time and place, time and place. Be who you are, but time and place, time and place, time and place.
Yeah, because you can't just be reckless all the time.
All the time.
Like sometimes when I'm hanging out with some of my friends or y'all, whatever we're doing, I'm like surprised how much I'm just exerting.
Exactly.
Because you're just being
It's
so
like,
foolish. You just can't help it. You're talking shit. Oh, cracking a joke. Okay, we're doing this now. It's like, it's just so fast paced.
and it's just like, that's what it is. Like, this is a time where you can be you, and when you're out, you have to be professional, maintain a certain, demeanor, whatever it is. And like, that just kind of is what.
Those lessons, bro, mean so much to me. Because when you say that, like I told you, I get these imprints.
Yeah.
And it's always random. Like, it could be the littlest thing with somebody. But with my grandma, my tutu, she's from Maui. And all she used to say when I was little, because I'm so impatient, I guess not anymore because of how much I talk to myself about it.
Right.
But she would be like, patience is a virtue, Zachary. Patience is a virtue. And then, no lie, there was some movie. I don't know if it was The Never-Ending Story
Great.
or an episode of The Gargoyles. I know those are far apart, but it was one of those two. I can't remember which
We're
one.
from the 90s, bro, for sure.
It's
You
one
just
of those
said Never-Ending Story and Gargoyles.
It's one of those two, but it was talking about patience is a virtue. It was like an episode
I
of it.
feel like that's some Falcor shit from Never-Ending Story.
That's what it might have
for
been.
Sure.
That's what it might have been.
Because what?
Yeah, like when she would say that, it sounded good then, but as I got older, so once I kind of got into high school and started going to college and then started trying to find a real job, that's all I used to hear on the back of my head is like, patience is a virtue. And like you said, time and place.
Yeah, bro.
But it's interesting to take pieces from it. I think that's something that makes me live a good life, and you, and probably why we gravitate, is because we're very good people, for one. But
Try to be, for sure.
100%. But we take what is
Given to us.
And what's beneficial from an experience without like being negative.
Right.
So like if we have an experience and it's not the best, we'll take the lessons out of it. If we have an experience and it's an amazing time, we'll take all that joy from it.
Right.
But if we get direction from somebody and there's some BS in there, we'll filter that out and take what helps.
Take what we can.
100%. And I think it's cool to consciously grow.
Right.
To where I'm still young. I mean, I'm 31 years old, but a few years ago, I don't feel like I was as conscious on my growth. And now,
being self-aware is a thing. So many people are not self-aware.
yeah,
And it's crazy. It's like, bro, you can change this. You have free will.
oh yeah,
And that's another thing I've noticed is people will find an excuse in absolutely anything. And it's actually crazy to see, because you can give them solutions to their problems, but there's always a but.
when it's friends of yours, it psychs you out.
It's painful.
And Rachel says I'm too aggressive, so sometimes because I love these people,
Right,
like I got genuine
trust,
love.
trust.
So the level of aggression is
I'm
high.
like, bro, stop. What are you talking about?
But what? Shut the hell up. Like,
exactly. And then they look at you like you're crazy. And it's like, yo, you're the only person.
and then you have to learn to take a step back. My grandpa told me, we're talking about lessons. My grandpa told me, you can help someone as long as you want to, but you can't enable them.
Yeah.
And, he's in his 80s and he's telling me these things. And he told them to me when he was in his 40s or in his 50s when I was like 5-6 years old.
Right.
So it's crazy that, like, you have to be conscious of that. Your friends, even though that's something else I've learned is like the level of connection.
Right.
Like, this guy means a lot to you, or this girl, this friend, whatever, means so much to you. But it can only go to here because of mindset. They
limit themselves.
We're limited here. So we can have a great time and we have these activities together or these conversations together and they're perfect because I'm not better than anyone.
Right.
If
but
anything,
like, you know what the boundaries are
for that.
Without, exactly, I got you, without overstepping or making them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
We're like, with you, it's been something to where it's continued to grow so rapidly because there's that huge level of trust.
Right.
And just belief that we're never on like no dumb stuff. Like it's always just something positive that we want to do.
Right.
So the range of activities we get into just grows, and it just, like, you going back to being kids, there it's just free. You're just doing whatever you want to do.
Right.
And then as an adult and you're picking these things and it's actually giving you life skills.
Right.
You're like, there's more to this than working a 9-to-5, or there's more to this than the structure that was given to me. Like, we can live on an everyday basis too and learn about other things. And
exactly. Yeah, and that's one of the things a lot of people don't see. They're always talking about a work-life balance. Truly, there's no work-life balance.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to say, I don't have time. That's one thing I've learned about. And I'm not like, this is not factual. This is just through life experiences that I've had.
Well, me too. I've had to start within the last 2-3 years. I put everything on my calendar. My nephew's like, hey, I want to go to the library on Tuesday. It's like Tuesday library, 2 p.m.
Yeah, like block that out.
I got to go to Natural Grocers at 4. Like, I got to block it out because, 1, you'll forget, but 2, I want to hold myself accountable because I'll push it off to the I don't have time.
Right. And that's one of those things you have to be self-aware about, and you have to be deliberate because, what is the word? Trying to create a schedule for yourself and then follow that schedule takes discipline. And you have to want to be disciplined, because a lot of people, what I've noticed, would rather be like entertained than to be driven or to focus on anything. And another thing I've learned is a lot of people don't believe in themselves, so I don't listen to what they have to say to me, because why would I listen to somebody that doesn't believe in themselves to do what I'm trying to do anyway? So that's why it's one of those things where it's like you have to have this discipline and this want-to, and most people don't have that. So when you have those people that are matching that energy, like, yeah, let's go do that. Let's go do this, let's go do that. At a moment's notice with no plans, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put forth that energy. Because
well, that's what I was gonna say when you said that, is when you have those connections with the right people and you tell them a dream or like an action you're on, right? It's just support. It's not like, why would you do that?
Yeah, it's never a negative anything. It's like, oh, that sounds fire. Yeah, when you gonna do it? When are you gonna do it?
I mean, even the hunting, you say spur of the moment. I remember you texted me on a Friday. You're like, hey, can you pick me up tomorrow at about 4:30? And I'm like,
for what?
Any other time, bro, I would just tell someone no. And I'm like, for what? And you're like, you want to hunt these geese? And I'm like, oh, hell yeah. And then I come pick you up at 4:30. And you're like, you got the classical plan? I'm like, hey, we're trying to get right. Like, this is what we do. And then you take me on my first goose hunting experience.
Wow.
And I got the real experience because I'm with a professional outfitter. Yeah. And I'm like, how blessed am I that when I was young, I felt like I didn't stay focused on positive things. But now, since I exert so much positivity, I get given so many gifts that I just wasn't used to. So sometimes I shy away from it. Like, I'm like, why does he want to take me hunting all the time? Do I need to do something? Like, I want to make sure it's even. And it's not like that. Like, when you're a great person, gifts just come. And it's not something physical or tangible every time, but it could be words. Right. It could be meeting them one time. It could be the hunting like that, or whatever it is. It's rewarding to get that positivity. And I think some people are so stuck on this just physical plane that they're like, no, pushing out positivity doesn't bring it back.
Right.
I'm going to just talk about how much I hate my life every day and be surprised why my day's hard.
Exactly. There's so many people like that will rather dwell on why they aren't doing something than making the time to actually do it. Because contrary to popular belief, we don't have time.
Yeah.
So you have to make the time for the things you want to do.
And you'd be surprised at what you can make time for.
Exactly.
I mean, even these last couple weeks, even though we've hung out a ton, these last couple weeks, we've like been very intentional with some activity.
Right.
And he made that curry for the first time. And I'm like,
gas. That was
dude,
fun.
like, it's so simple. Someone may run over that. Someone be like, oh, I ate the curry from Sonny. It was great. We hung out and we moved on. Cool. He's a cool dude. To me, I'm like, no. A friend and his wife came to me, gave me a gift of like homemade cultured food from his side. Right. And we shared it over a good time and conversation.
And a fun game.
In a fun game. Dope. Yeah. I hope it's called Rumi Cuban. I'm not saying it wrong.
That's what I'm saying too.
I need to look it up.
Saying it wrong together.
But the little things mean so much to me. So when you push that positivity and it comes back,
it's cool to see.
It's
an
cool
experience.
To see. Yeah. And then even if I go to the gym, the love I get from you all, or if we see each other in public, or if we're meeting here, it's just that kind of keeps you going. Yeah. I mean, that's why I'm always saying keep going.
And I take that from you. Yeah. I say keep going all the time. Like, every time somebody starts something or like is thinking about, I'm like, keep going, bro. Keep going. Keep going.
Yeah, and not in a positive way. Not like, don't smell the flowers, move on. Right. It's like, no, take that momentum. You got it.
Yeah.
I believe in you.
Yeah,
I believe
go do it. Get it done. Send it. Full send every
100%.
time. Yeah, bro.
And I think that with some people, they'll hear that message or be trying to do something, and then just the first couple obstacles just derail them all the way. Like, oh, real estate didn't work for me because I went 6 months without getting paid or 3 months without getting paid. Well, like, hey, it's a learning curve. Yeah. Some people get paid quick and then not forever. I mean, you got into real estate just a few years ago?
Yeah, it was like 2021 maybe, something like that.
And was it mainly on wholesale first?
It's still wholesale. Like
still wholesale.
We aren't trying to do any rentals. We aren't trying to do any flips, any like buy and hold.
You have so many hats though.
Exactly.
That the wholesale just makes sense for income.
It's just quick. Passive, like not even really passive.
It's almost.
Because Aranda, she puts in pain because she's really the one behind the scenes on the wholesaling stuff. Like I'm just connected to people like you, Char, Alex, to where I'm like, hey, I have a property. Does this interest you? You know what I mean?
And if it doesn't, they're connected to enough people that it can move somewhere.
I am not too proud for a JV, bro. I'm always down for a JV because some money is better than no money, period.
And it's your level of work into it. I mean, you do a JV with someone who's qualified. Like you send me a deal and I send it. And if we can't take it down and we take it to our buyers list, it's pretty hands off for you. And then you get a nice spread.
Exactly. And it's like, why wouldn't I want to do that? At the end of the day, a deal's still getting done and I'm still getting paid. My time is not wasted. Mm-hmm. So like she's run that and we just do that when we need, some cash or like we want to do something. So we know we need to prepare for it. So we're going to,
stack up some.
Try and grab a deal or two this month or the next month or, just kind of put more effort into that lane.
That's got to be rewarding though, not just on the money side, but it's like, empowering to know that you can make something out of nothing.
Right.
Because it is a simple thing. When people talk about wholesale, sometimes they panic or think something's hard. It's real simple, whether it's a house or the fruit you buy at the grocery store.
Right.
You buy it at this price, sell it at this price, and take the spread. So to be able to, since you have those skills now, to just be able to produce that on the level you want, whether it's a deal or 10 deals or 5 deals, whatever you want, to be able to just produce that at a moment's notice, just off of the information and knowledge you have, plus the action you're willing to take.
Yeah.
It's something I didn't think was possible because, like you said, our parents were working, which I'm proud of them for busting their ass. I mean, I wouldn't have had stability if it wasn't for that.
Right.
But our group, I feel like, has changed from that exchanging time for money aspect. Now, of 100%. Course, there's more time we have to do into real estate or your other businesses or whatever it is. But it's just a little more enjoyable than going and clocking in somewhere.
I 100% agree. And that's the cool part is you have control of that. Like you said, I can want 10 deals. And that just means we have to kind of double down on the time we actually take to find a deal.
Yeah.
Because you know how that goes. It's a volume game. You got to call 100 numbers to get 10 answers to get one offer done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where you get out what you put in. So...
And it takes those numbers all the time.
100%. So like when you want a deal, you have to commit to it and then just send it. And then once you make that change and you do what you got to do with the spread, you feel comfortable again. Now you have all the time in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people don't realize. Like we were saying, that you have to make the time.
Yeah.
So if you make the time now, long term, you're going to have more time of freedom. Mm-hmm. Because now you don't have to work for 2-3 months because you just made $35K on one spread. Mm-hmm. All your bills are paid. You don't have to worry about anything. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what we do, because like Aranda, she's at home with the kids all the time. Stay-at-home mom, homeschool. Like that's kind of where we lean towards.
I gotta show you love for that too, because that's what I did with my wife. And not like I'm in control, she's stay at home. It was a beneficial choice to both of us.
Right.
But I was crazy how fast I was able to do it through real estate. And it's
that's
not even like a,
yeah,
it's not even like a brag. It like makes me happy. And I think from what I've seen in the world, whether it was a TV show or a real life experience of that stay-at-home wife, it didn't look as fulfilling as what I get or what you get.
100%.
It's like, no, we have such a good relationship. It benefits us both, and I'm able to produce enough on me.
Right.
Which it's sad to say, but it's the truth, and probably for 95% of men, it's the same. But I just wasn't confident enough to do stuff.
Right.
As far as my normal actions, like hooping, living life, I can do that. Going to
risks.
college, taking risks. But I just didn't think I could actually take care of business like that.
Right.
And then now she's been stay at home for 4 years or more.
Right.
And I haven't worked for a normal job in 5 years. And
chilling. Now y'all have time.
Bro, 7.5 years ago, I was making $10 an hour at Finish Line.
Yeah.
That's 7.5 years ago.
Oh, was I going to say, what is it, 2024?
So, yeah, it was like 2016, I was working for $10 an hour.
8 years ago, I was in the military. You know what I mean? Like, miserable.
It just doesn't seem real.
Right. That's what I feel like I've lived a million lifetimes, bro.
That gratefulness is huge.
Yeah.
I think that kind of piggybacks on the mindset for people that think they have a butt for everything.
Yeah.
Is what about being able to breathe and walk and see and hear and taste and like your normal senses, or check your mail or have bills? Me and Tez used to talk about, I called him one time and he was really happy about it. I was like, man, I got to replace this $2,800 or $3,500 fence. Thank goodness I can do it, because in the past, anything would break me. 170, a speeding ticket is like setting you back.
Dang, now I can't pay something else.
And it could only be $150 and you're panicking. And I heard something on a podcast, and then I think it was Curtis. You know Curtis, the one that does realty and media and everything.
What's his name? Well-bred.
Well-bred, yes sir. Shout out. He reposted it, and the person said, pressure is a privilege.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, that's true, because we do have good partners.
Right.
So since we have great wives and great family, we have that support that a lot of people don't get.
100%.
But on the backside, sometimes it still does get hard.
Yeah.
Like, to handle everything still does get hard. And I'm not just talking financial, just your life is hard. And then when I hear something like that, it instantly hits me with the keep going.
Yeah.
And I didn't choose this keep going. Like, it chose me.
Right.
And
it's just one of those things that stuck.
It's stuck. I mean, it's on my whiteboard. It's on a painting behind you. It stuck with me. And then I get these random messages like that. Yeah. And I'm like, right? Like, that pressure is a privilege, because I think he said, what's the opposite of pressure? Like nothing, or something like no expectations.
Right.
To where, don't you want to be great? Don't you want to be your own version of successful, being your happiest self, treating everyone you love to the best degree? Like, I just think it's crazy that you can create it. And growing up, I just didn't think it was possible. Like, I was just really thinking life was hard. And then I got into real estate, and then I became myself. Right. Which was crazy. You'd think you would just focus on the real estate side. But it, like, not only gave me business, but it, like, gave me life and
something to
open up my personality.
Something to, like, make you step out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and grow into, like, someone you wanted to be.
Right.
And I know when you told me about the real estate, you're like, hey, I'm going to start wholesaling. And I remember you got a deal pretty quick, and I saw a video of you cashing out, and I'm like, that's it. Because I've talked to people I know, and people have asked me for help, and I'll help them, and there's some that go and produce, or there's some that get paid once and then just throw off, or there's people like yourself who make the right connections. You connect with Tez, get a deal done rapid.
Like, I took 12 days.
And you're like, oh.
On 6 hours of work.
If that,
It felt illegal.
Yeah.
It felt illegal, bro. I was like, no way this is real. And that was crazy. $8,700 in 12 days. And I did zero work, realistically. I got on Zillow, ran numbers, made an on-market purchase, got it contracted, and then immediately hit up Tez. He was like, I'm taking that, 100%.
And it's crazy because some people wouldn't even take the time to run the numbers. Or the thing that you did that was really different is you were confident enough and not like getting that analysis paralysis. You're like, I know just enough to get this under contract, and then I'll find out.
Yeah,
what's
I'll figure it
next.
out.
I'll figure it out then.
And that's like a blessing and a curse, because I'll finger fuck my way through just about anything. And that's just real shit, bro.
Said I can earn it.
Like, I'm gonna figure it out. That's one thing. It's like, I'm either just real smart or real dumb, because one way or another, something's getting done for real. And it's one of those things where I'm grateful for, but at the same time, it's gotten me into trouble.
Well, I think a lot of people that I have those good, of course, the personal relationship, but the good business relationship, it's kind of the MO for them. Like even Tez and anyone else I know in the space, they don't always wait to have all the answers. And that doesn't mean you don't serve the people or situations to the best of your ability. It's just you don't wait for it to be perfect to make a decision.
Yeah, you just know what you know. You make decisions based off that, and you send it. It's like nothing ventured, nothing gained. The worst that can happen is I fail. And guess what? I learned what not to do.
And I think that most people get probably caught in the fear of
Failing,
and then like they're embarrassed or something.
And that's the thing. They're embarrassed of other people who don't write them a paycheck, who are not bringing them any value but their opinion. Yeah. And it's like, bro, y'all don't even believe in yourselves. What do you have to say about me? I'm out here trying.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That goes back to what I said earlier. Like, bro, people do not believe in themselves. I can literally give someone an entire game plan. If you do this, 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 this. I watched G do it for years, brother.
Oh.
Like, bro, people will do what they want. They will make their choices. And that's why, like, it's ones and zeros. Everything is a choice. I 100% believe in that.
On G's side, I bet it's crazy.
It's insane.
Because he's like, here's the blueprint. And they're like, one out of probably every 100.
I was one of those idiots that was like, I think I know more. And that's why my career early on went the way it did. And now I see it now. That's why I'm training every single day. That's why I don't miss a day when I want to fight, because I know what it's like to be in camp and not be training. I don't want to experience a loss again. I took what I got from my losses and was like, dog, you weren't training. You didn't want this. You wanted to look cool and disassociate and not make the decisions you had to make as an adult. So that's what you was riding it for.
It's crazy because I learned that too. Like, you wanted it, but you didn't want it enough, and you could have put in more. That's what gave me so much respect for everyone that, not only everyone that fights even just once, because it's a crazy thing to do.
Yeah.
It's crazy
100%.
to drive a few hours to go to some random town and
in a casino
and get your hands taped and then just go fight someone you don't know.
And not get paid for it.
Bro, because I'm a principal guy. Anything I ever had
paid for it is crazy, because we're in no protective gear. We're fighting like pros. The only thing different at that time was we couldn't throw elbows or bring the head to the knees. And then the rounds were 3 minutes.
Yeah,
Bro,
yeah, that's the biggest difference.
We weren't making a fucking paycheck, but we were out there throwing. Like, bro, I could have lost vision. I could have got thumped in the back of the head like that boxer and ended up in a wheelchair, bro. We were just out there. Send it.
It is wild. And I think that, I mean, it even drove the respect even more to the people that do it for a living, because
it's nonstop.
You see what it takes. And bro, that's something that's mature and cool just about our mentality in general, that you can look at something and dissect it.
Yeah, and just be like, damn, that takes a lot. Respect.
Respect. I know what they had to do to get to that. Like, oh, he's 8% body fat and 30, 40 pound cut, and he's in shape and he's ready to go, and he fights at midnight.
That's insane.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Professional athlete for real. Because you watch those UFC cards, the main event obviously is like close to midnight.
11:30,
but
12 o'clock.
Those people show up and then got to be ready. I mean, I was lucky that I was the first fight. I didn't have much choice. And I think that's been
early. I like being early.
That's always been the best thing for me when I was lacking confidence, is like, it's forced.
Get it over with.
But to be in the lineup, I think would be terrible.
Yeah, because you got to wait
5 minutes
intermissions,
or 2 hours.
Like, bro, I'm like, yo, just put me out. Put me in, coach. Just
and then they're like, hey, you're up next. And you're like, okay, I'm ready. It's like,
they're like, no, I'm not. Now I'm cold.
And I'm calm. Like, I think I'm hungry. Like, all these things. Like, I remember warming up with Shaq and I'm just by myself. and everyone's watching. Luckily, I had Rachel because we were fighting the same night, which you and Aranda did that too, which I think is kind of like a random couple goal.
Well, nah,
Like, it's kind of a flex.
Yeah, and it was crazy because at the time when we were doing it, it hadn't been done before.
Oh, yeah.
It was like first husband and wife couple on our card. And we're like, what? That's how they're selling this? This is cool, actually. Mm-hmm. And then, like, both times we were on the card, like, I was the first fight, like, before her, not the first fight, and I go out and knock my dude out. Shorty gonna go out there in her fight, 2-3 fights later, knock that lady out. Then my second fight, her third fight, I go out there, rear naked choke. She goes out there, rear naked choke.
Oh,
I'm like, what is going on?
It's crazy, too, because, like, we're such peaceful people, so we're just so competitive that when it switches to that, it's funny that it's that extreme.
Yeah.
Because that's like combat. You're like,
it's like, yeah.
I don't even want to like get into a confrontation at the grocery store. I'd rather just...
I do everything to not fight, but then I just go out there and I fight in a cage.
For fun.
For entertainment purposes, bro.
It's almost for yourself, too, at that point.
It's just like, yeah, I chose to do this. Why? What? But it's fun because it's like, I tell people all the time, after my first knockout, if you could roll that up, I'd be an addict.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, insanity. I looked at my hand, was like, I could kill somebody with this. Because literally, if you put somebody out, who's stopping you from murder at that point?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's crazy to think about.
Yeah.
So it's like, bro, what? I'm a psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
This is what this feels like. I'm ready to go again. Like, somebody need to fight in the back? I'm ready.
Is there someone out? I can go twice tonight. Like,
literally. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's very rewarding in the sense of, damn, I just did that. Mm-hmm. Like, and when you come back down, it's like everything's in pain though. But damn, I just did that.
Man, I wanted to pick your brain on the hunting too, because you've done it for so long. And I know we kind of brushed over it where you said you started around,
high school. I was in Pennsylvania because of my biology teacher, yeah.
When you...
we sidetracked that conversation. Yeah. Oh my God.
I wanted to come back to it. Cause
we just got going, bro. This is how we talk all the time, though, so I don't know why I'm surprised.
That's why when you walked in, I was like, hey, just hit record. We'll figure it out, because I always have so much to talk to you about, even if I just saw you. Right. Especially because I'm blessed with getting some time with you. You're like, hey, we got 40 minutes.
Man,
it's like, okay, here you go. Here's the subjects I'm interested in. It's like selfish, but it's mutual.
Yeah. If it works, it ain't stupid if it works.
100%. Man, on the hunting side, what got you hooked into it? Because for me, I was the kid or the guy that literally, it sounds goofy, was just listening to Joe Rogan and then watching Meat Eater. And
I
was
love
like,
Steve Rinella.
Yeah.
I love Joe Rogan, so I totally understand.
And when I watched that, I was like, oh, I kind of want to hunt. And I remember my dad he hunted with me there when I was real young, when we were in Hawaii. He got some axis deer.
That's sick.
But
that's on the bucket list.
Yeah, and I got to eat it, and I loved it. So I was never scared of the hunting, and I ate deer meat growing up at friends' house and stuff. But I just never made time for it. And then when I did make time for it, I got one of my first deer on the last day of hunting season on a Sunday at my aunt's.
Fire.
And
meant to be.
Meant to be. But like, what made you get locked into it? Because I was more on the substance side. Like, I want to try and use everything. And
so as a kid, I just loved animals.
Okay.
So like
more on like the nurturing side.
Yeah, like I always wanted a pet, blah, blah, blah. So like animals, I was always drawn to anything having to do with animals. But then there was like, I'm way different in that aspect from my family because they're not gonna hunt, they're not gonna fish, they're city dwellers, you know what I mean? They like the suburbs, cool, but like I'm not going out with my pops and hunting. My mom is not picking up a gun at all. Like my brother joined the military and then he kind of turned more on the outdoorsman side because, I mean, like I said, we grew up in New York, Long Island. You could hunt there, sure, but I grew up around like people who weren't around guns. They didn't believe in even having a gun. Mm-hmm. So like it was never on my radar. But as I got older, I had an English teacher in 7th grade, Mr. Warsaw. Shout out to all my teachers, by the way, because I've had
it's always the ones you can recall.
I can recall so many. I've had the opportunity to have so many great educators, and I'm blessed to even say that because I see how teachers
especially how you
now.
Know the system.
Exactly. And it was 7th grade, Mr. Warsaw. He was always talking about turkey hunting and blah, blah, blah. And this was on Long Island.
You're the person that took me turkey hunting the first time.
That was fun, too, because we almost had that mother boy.
You said this is how you call them in, and then it walked around the corner, and I saw it, and I was like, and you're making the noises with just your mouth, and you're like, you can use a call, but I do this. And I'm like, just in
What's
awe.
Happening?
I'm just in awe. I'm just being quiet.
And, like, that got me real, like, I was like, man, curious, real curious. Like, you could do that? Like, this is amazing. And then in 7th grade? No, it might have been 7th or 8th grade. 7th grade. We went on a charter fishing trip at the end of the year. It was
That's
like an
nice.
end of the school year trip because we were on Long Island. So you go out into the bay or you go out into the ocean, you deep sea fish for like flounder and striper and stuff.
That's a pretty cool thing.
So that's when I was like, fishing is fun. Oh my goodness. Fast forward, I started 8th grade in Pennsylvania in the Poconos. And it's a touristy area. There's like snowboarding and stuff, but it's super outdoorsy too. There's like Bushkill Falls. There's all these different hikes. We live on a mountain. So
They have a
like,
lot of public land too, or no?
yes.
Because Oklahoma
It's
doesn't,
surrounded
but
by
other places
forest.
do.
There's a lot of public land in Oklahoma, by the way.
I mean, compared to some of those places you
bigger
look up
places.
where it's
100%.
all these
And
hundreds of
there's
acres.
like, there's tons of it out there. And like, we lived on a mountain, the Pocono Mountains. Like, that's just what it was. Everywhere you go, there's deer, there's beaver in the road. I seen a marten, like it looked like a little ferret weasel thing. It was sick.
That fur is popular, right? The martens.
I believe so.
Okay.
They do like gloves and stuff with them. But like going out there and seeing wildlife, I was amazed. Like, that's a deer. You could eat that. Like, I remember my teacher, blah, blah, blah. And then I met my biology teacher, Ryan DeLong, and I still talk to him to this day.
Wow. And that's 8th grade?
This was actually 9th grade.
I had a chemistry teacher in 9th grade that I talked to up until a few years ago.
Like
I get it.
8th grade, I was still, doing things, but we were going outside. Me and Omar, we would just hike. We would just get bored and like,
Is
let's
that the
walk.
dude you posted
yeah.
with that trio? There's like
Yeah,
3 of
me,
them.
Stefan, and Omar, because
That's
we would just
crazy.
get fucking wild hair and go walk in the woods. And me and Stefan, we built like a fort in the woods off a river in the middle of the forest. Straight up. As like high schoolers, bro.
That's that cool shit.
Yeah, like, and then me and Omar, like I said, lived in the same development, but we're surrounded by woods. Like, we walked through the woods one time until we found a waterfall. No one knew it was there. It was the coolest thing ever. First place I ever tripped mushrooms. And I cried to Kid Cudi's Man on the Moon. Great song. Anyway.
With Omar.
No, that wasn't with Omar. That was just like, when I was in
You went
Pennsylvania.
back to the waterfall?
Yeah.
For that moment? That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
like, it was peaceful. It was just dope.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
like, as that age, I was just so angry because my parents uprooted me from like what I had going in Long
Queens.
Island and
Oh, Long
like
Island,
in
yeah.
Queens, Long Island, and like made me move here where I can't play lacrosse, I can't play the cello, nothing in my life is good. I'm a teenager, angst, like shit like that. So it was like, they were like, yo, try mushrooms. And I was like, all right, cool, I tried some mushrooms. And it wasn't even a lot, bro. And I just remember like listening to my music and that song came on and I just started crying. I didn't know why I was crying and it was just like so serene and so unreal. And I'm pretty sure that's where I got this like vast outlook on life was off that trip because I really started to appreciate things more. But like going back to the outdoors, it was moving to Pennsylvania, seeing the wildlife and understanding from 7th grade Mr. Warsaw saying you can hunt. Like it made me on my own. The second I can drive, I went and did my hunter's education course on my own, paid for it myself, went and did it because my parents weren't gonna take me. Why? Because they didn't see a value in it. It's kind of the thing about immigrant parents. Like what they know is what they know and they're in the ground on it.
Yeah.
They're putting their foot down, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm older than you have to listen to me. So I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Turned 17, I could drive, immediately paid for my own course, got it done. Turned 18, first thing I did, bought a shotgun. Graduated, bought myself a 22.
Oh, you were in it.
Yeah, like I can buy guns now, I'm 18, boom. That, and then like talking to Mr. DeLong, we would go fishing after school.
That's pretty cool.
Like literally drive down the mountain from the school, because our school was at the top of one of the mountains out there. And it was the only thing for miles, really, except like a deli.
Yeah.
So it was always like bears and coyotes on our football
Dang.
fields and stuff. Like,
Dang.
yeah, it was cool, and like turkeys and shit. But like we'd drive down the mountain, there's Bushkill Creek, they stock it, there's trout. We would go, we'd fish for hours, and we'd fish his chop. He was like, you gotta come with me turkey hunting. You gotta come with me goose hunting. He was the first person who took me goose hunting.
You don't realize how impactful those people are looking back. And then you think like,
I wouldn't be
why'd
doing
they
this
do
if
that?
it wasn't for
Why'd
this
they
person.
do that? And it was just after the same genuine love that you were showing.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we can do this together.
Right, and he was just like another person to be into the outdoors and be like cool, and he was a young dude at the time. He didn't have kids, so it was like every student that he could reach that way. I wasn't just the only kid out there. We would all meet up. There was like 4 or 5 of the kids, like from different grades that he taught.
What a way more impactful way to teach someone.
Exactly.
Values.
And then like we would catch stuff, and like at the end of the year when we were dissecting things, it would be the fish we caught. He would put that in the lesson plan. It wasn't in the lesson plan per the district, He was like, we caught this. Let's just dissect it and label all the organs. Blah, 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 blah. One of the students hit a deer in the parking lot one morning.
I didn't know you were living somewhere that was this like busy with wildlife. Like, no wonder your location hooked you on it, because that is crazy.
Bro, I would go, after school, so after DeLong showed me this spot, I went there every day by myself and rip a couple casts every single day on the way home when I started driving, bro. Just because I knew I would get a for sure bite. I could take it off the line, throw it back, and I'd be good. I got my fix.
You got your dopamine.
So it was cool. It was like one of those things that like I like giving people, because that's fun. Going out fishing, getting it done, or going out hunting for the first time and seeing it and just being in awe of nature.
Yeah.
Like straight animal instinct is what it is, because these animals are programmed to do these things.
Yeah, that's just how they operate.
Exactly. And to pattern that, learn it, figure it out, and then capitalize on it is a game in itself. So that's kind of where it clicks for me, because there's a lot of, you got to think and learn to do things with hunting and being outdoors, because how you catch trout is not how you catch bass.
Oh, bro, yeah.
And how you hunt duck is not how you hunt geese, and it's also not how you hunt quail or pheasant, blah, blah, blah. Deer is different.
Bro, you took me to all these different hunts. Now that you're labeling them, I'm just laughing, because I was like, dang, I did all 6 of these with Sonny. Look at you paying it forward, though, because he pushed it onto you in a positive way, and then you're telling me, hey, this is how you do it right. And I'm just listening.
And like, just because it was an easy way to reach the students, and now like everyone fucks with you. And then he would organize a paintball trip at the end of the year. That was the first time I went paintballing. It was with him.
Bro, that's crazy.
Yeah, we had like, and it was so cool, because at the back of his classroom, he had a bulletin board. Everyone who's ever took fishing, the paintball trips, like students will go out on their own and send him a picture like, look what I caught, or look what I shot. And still to this day, like he'll put that kind of shit up, because like, that's just him, reaching out to somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was cool, because like I said, my parents worked. And like, I'm grateful for that, because we never went without.
But you had a lot of free time.
Exactly. So like, that was where I was learning shit from, rather than my parents. Mm-hmm. So it was like one of those things where I went out and kind of like looked for what I was interested in. And that's kind of, what propelled me to be interested in it, because it was like, oh, this is cool. I've never done this before. This is like nothing I'd ever think I would be doing. So it was one of those.
Let me stop you real quick, bro, because that was what hit me. When my aunt made me take a picture with my deer, I was like, my friends are going to die laughing.
Yeah, like I'm holding a deer right now.
Because we knew kids that did this, and they weren't me. Like, they weren't me. And like, to do it, and then I remember my dad's friend, his name's Josh. It's funny, because my dad, I feel like, is so skilled in this stuff, but not to like a real country boy, Right. Like, there's another level.
Oh, 100%.
And this guy's more of a country boy, and I think he grew up around Ardmore and
so he was
Lake Murray and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember it was because I got my first deer 4 years ago. So it was 3 years ago. It was my first time processing it myself. The first time, it took a while to find it. We looked for maybe 4 hours, because my aunt lives in Southwest Duke, which is by Altus.
Right.
And it's that kind of prairie grassland.
Yeah.
And horses. I wouldn't hunt
no
horse.
Down.
Deer are the same color.
Yeah.
And we searched, and there were so many times she was like, hey, you're going to have to just call it. Well, not her, but her husband was like, hey, we might have to call it.
Right.
She was like, hey, let's take a breather. Let's sit here for a second. So we sat, paused. We're sitting there. She's like, all right, let's go. We ended up finding it. Her process wasn't to process them herself at that time. The next year, they bought all the stuff, and they started doing it themselves. Yeah. But we dropped that one off, which I'm still thankful for, because there's nothing wrong with that. Right. It's still a normal process that people do. But then the next year, I went with my dad and them, and Josh was like, all right, stick your hand in there, hold the rib cage open. I'm like, oh, shoot. And then he cuts something out. He's like, all right, grab the esophagus and cut it out. And I grabbed the esophagus, and it's so warm.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And we were in Talamina Wilderness area by Pittsburgh County, and it was like steaming or something. I was this is crazy hot. And
cut it and it falls.
Cut it, do our thing. But then after that, I was like, I'm not taking it to the processor. Even though most of them that we hunt with, they still do. They gut it, obviously.
Like I already did.
But we already did. Yeah. We did the most part. So I started processing them here at the house and got addicted to it. And that made me love hunting even more.
Yeah.
Like when we went goose hunting and I got that goose, it was my first time ever breaking one down.
Yeah.
but I got to break one down, learn how annoying plucking the feathers was.
Oh my God, the worst.
But I was able to feed the raw head and feet to my dogs, and they loved it.
Yeah.
And then the organs, and then I have a full goose to roast,
Right.
and then I've got feathers for something else later that aren't going bad in a box, and I'm like, it's
This
so
is
empowering,
live.
just like the business.
Yeah.
So just how you can wholesale a deal and make 10 or 20 grand, 30 grand in a couple weeks, you can provide for yourself too.
In little to no time.
Yeah, especially on the fishing side. You could go catch one fish, cook it on the side, you got a meal, move on.
Yeah, and there's people like my buddy Blue, who I connected with down here. He's ripping 37 fish. He's taking his limit every time I'm filling his freezer. And he'll go out 3-4 days in a row and catch limits every day. Smash them. I'm like, bro, that's incredible. He's like, I don't grocery shop like that, bro. And I'm just like, that's insane.
I didn't start not grocery shopping as much on like the meat side until probably 2 or 3 years ago.
I started buying a quarter cow.
That's what I
cow.
did.
Yeah.
I was surprised how long a quarter lasts. We
So
still
much.
have some, and my dad and I are about to go in on a half again. We do it in June. But I was like, man, I spent $600 last June on beef.
And I was still eating on it. It's
Where
like,
a
why would
ribeye
you-
is $45 for one ribeye.
That's why I'm like, it's silly to not shop local if you can.
Especially in that style bolt.
100%.
Like you're getting a quarter cow of well-raised beef, or I'm getting a carton of eggs from someone that is really taking care of the animals. Where,
Not factory farm.
It's not factory farm. To where in the past I didn't even care about that stuff.
Yeah, now you taste the difference, you feel the difference.
See a difference.
Yeah, it's insane. Like the meat in the stores doesn't look like meat at all.
It's like light pink, and
crazy.
or pork's white, but then you go hunt wild boar,
And it's red.
and you're like,
Deep
why is this
red.
pork the best?
Yeah. And like raising your own pigs too, you taste it, like you see it. It's crazy. And that's why it's like, that was another thing that like I always loved hunting and fishing for. Like if anything ever goes, I'm like a prepper, dude. I'm always thinking like
I didn't think I was, but I'm the same way. I'd be nerding out on it.
And it's like, bro, like I can fend for myself to the point where like my first purchased dog as an adult was a hunting dog. Like
You're
was
big
like,
on that.
Yeah, like first of all, that was like a whole new world to me when I discovered that.
Why did you do that? Because you train dogs. Like,
For a while.
That's not
That was
a-
one of the lives I lived.
you were a professional on that. Like,
Yeah,
you're a
100%.
dog guy.
Like I accepted dogs in, trained them, got paid for it, titled dogs. My dog was titled. Like, it's one of those things that I just fell in love with to the point where I stopped carrying a gun. I carried a sidearm in case coyotes, snakes, bobcat, whatever. But I just worked the dog for the love of watching a dog work.
First time I ever saw a dog get worked was with you.
And it's nuts.
And I was
Watching
like,
him,
this is
roll up
real?
a goose, bro,
And-
from like 200 yards.
And then with the quail or the pheasant, and then he was like getting cuts and stuff because he's working hard and don't care. And then you doctor him, he's all happy. I'm like,
yeah, bro.
this is
And
crazy.
they're nuts. Like my dog has jumped through barbed wire, tore his skin open, and I just stapled it, and he kept going. Like threw some blood stop on it. He did not care. He's broken.
How'd you get into it? Like, you said it was
I
the
don't
life
even-
you lived, but how do you choose that?
I don't even
Seems tough.
remember, bro. Like honestly, like I said, I got into the hunting and fishing thing, and then I
Like,
used
did
to
you
watch.
train your dog first and then?
Well, I actually reached out to this really old dude. He was like 72, and he was still moving, spry. And he was like, "Yeah, you can come out. I'll keep him in the kennels, and then kind of teach him the basics, and you can come out and work him." So we kind of did that for a little bit.
So you got like a little apprenticeship.
kind of thing,
kind of.
because he kind of like walked me through how he would do certain things, how to work the dog correctly to where it's always in front of you, quartering 25 yards out, 50 yards out, however big you want your dog to run. My dog ran small. He was very personal to me. Like he would always look back and check, and I'd be like, "Go, bro, come on."
So some dogs are more personal than others?
Yeah, like Chief, my boy Chief.
That's the one
He-
we hunted with.
Right, he runs big. You saw how big he runs. He was out there moving.
Yeah, he's 100 yards.
And Orion was the exact opposite. Like I can see him the entire time. He's maybe 25 yards out quartering. He'll stop, look at me, quarterback that way.
Is he waiting for you to catch up or just checking?
No,
or?
he was attached to him. He was my first dog. So like that's the dog that knew me, that I knew, and that's just what it was. And that's
There's
how he
something
grew
about
up.
your first adult dog that you latch onto and you don't realize you're like
So
creating
tight,
that
bro.
strong of it.
Yeah.
Because you're like, dang, I didn't know I was giving him so much compassion. Like, and it was just because you needed it too.
And it was funny because like we got the dogs before we got furniture. We got married, we found out we were pregnant, and bought a dog all within like 8 weeks because we had put the deposit on the dog after we closed on the house. And it was the last dog. It was a Tibetan Mastiff. It was out in the Ozarks, and we were like, we'll go pick it up. Like, we've never been to Arkansas.
Is that Northwest?
Yes. And we went out there and picked up Leo, and that was our first dog. I mean, we were sleeping on the floor on the mattress, but just bought a $2,700 dog, like for no reason.
Yeah, that's a purchase,
Yeah.
especially at that time. It's a purchase now, but 10 years ago it was crazy.
And it was not a good financial decision, but like we were chilling, and then literally we found out like, oh, she's pregnant. Oh my God, we just got a puppy. Like, we about to be raising puppies with puppies. And then I had already put down a deposit on a dog she didn't even know about because I wanted my hunting dog.
And you didn't even know it was twins.
At all. So we were thinking one baby, bro. So it was like, oh, we got him, bro. We chilling.
That's got to be like so scary for the first baby.
Bro, nuts. But that's all we knew. So it was just like, whatever, send it. You know? It was like, cool. But like going back, that's kind of what got me into hunting, was just being outdoors. And then I started working dogs, and I realized, man, just off instinct alone, like, animals are beautiful. They're amazing things. Like, I love horses just because I think a horse is just incredibly scary because they're so powerful, but at the same time, they have so much purpose and they can give so much. It's just crazy. But
no, bro, the horses are super important to me because I'm Comanche, and the Comanche people, historically, they were in like Northwest Wyoming, and they weren't great warriors. They were like getting taken advantage of a lot by other tribes. And then the Spanish came in like the 1500s, I think, I could be wrong, and brought the horse, and then Comanche got horse. And then the Comanche are famous for being the best horse riders, horse raiders. So nice. Those horses changed the whole trajectory. Quantum Parker, the Comanche chief I told you was my grandfather. That legacy of his people way before him wouldn't have even happened without
the horses.
And then the people like working dogs or riding horses, that connection's even crazier because they're so smart.
You can do that. You can actually run horses and dogs. That's how they do it.
I see dogs on horses sometimes, and I'm like, what?
You can put a Corgi or Australian Shepherd on a horse, and they'll help you herd. They'll jump right off the horse and go fuck with the cattle. But like, I like the hunting thing, and really I didn't start like the whole dog thing and like quail and pheasant until I moved to Oklahoma, because like, you can hunt pheasant in Pennsylvania, but it's all stocked and pen-raised birds. I got stationed in Oklahoma, and I was like, oh, it's the flatlands out here. This is the prairie. This is where pheasant and quail are, and this is where the prairie chicken is at, and blah, blah, blah. And I used to watch the Outdoor Channel, all them hunting shows and stuff.
Too,
so
like YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, I was turned up. I was like, I got to find a gun dog. Like, do I get a lab? Do I get a pointer? And I fell in love with the German Shorthair. Like,
they're beautiful dogs.
Gorgeous dogs. And at the time, all I knew was they were versatile. They can retrieve, they can swim, they can hike, they can run, they can jump, they point, they can flush. They do it all. They're like the Navy SEALs of dogs to me. Like, they can really, you can teach them how to blood trail. Mine could blood trail. Mine could find my kids. Mine pointed, mine flushed, mine retrieved to hand. And that was
but finding the kids is crazy.
Yeah, I was like, go hide. And I'd have him smell it. I'm like, go find him. And he would, every time, never missed. And when I shot my deer, he tracked it. My first Oklahoma deer, he was the one that tracked it because it took off. It was a terrible shot by me because I was like,
my first one was a gut shot.
So it was one of those things where I was like, I was grateful I had a dog. And Oklahoma was the reason I looked into that. And then as I got the dog, I dived deeper because then I realized people want to talk about hunting, but they don't want to go hunting.
Yeah.
Because waking up at 3 a.m. is not fun, but like, you have to want to do it.
Yeah,
like you said, like, that's one of the only things I wake up for, you know what I mean? 3 a.m. to drive 2.5 hours to go shoot some ducks is crazy.
To be out there before the sun comes up, to watch it raise, to get that 15 minutes of golden time and then try to get something.
And another cool thing is you wake up with the woods. You hear everything going on when the sun like first touches to when it's like right above you.
You get to feel like when it goes cold when the sun first comes up because it's pushing the cold air up or whatever, and you feel it off the ground.
That's when it's the coldest. It's right as it's
right when it comes up, and you feel it drop. Bro. I'll sit in a, like if you're in a stand or like still hunting, kind of walking around or something, you'll be walking in, or sitting on a tree or something, and then just be like, oh.
Yeah, like, toes. For me, it's my toes. I'm like, oh.
I took a friend hunting, and I always, this cracks me up. He was like, man, I actually feel kind of good. I think I'm going to be all right. I said, bro, but we're walking. I was like, you better take your stuff, because once you sit for 3 hours and then that sun come up, you're going to feel a little different. Yeah. And he said, man, I almost died.
Sweat.
And you sweat. So him not having a lot on to walk is smart, but when you get stationary, you got to bundle back up. And it's so funny because he texted me, I was like, man, I was freezing my ass off. It's like, it's different. 30 degrees isn't too bad until you're sitting still for 3 hours, 4 hours.
And you're like not moving, and the blood flow is just stagnant damn near.
I did my last deer hunt. Well, not my last deer hunt, but one of the last of last season at my friend's property near Pink, Oklahoma by Thunderbird.
Yeah, that's where I used to deer hunt.
Good spot.
Yeah.
It was that day it was 0 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
And since I was sitting in a wool blanket setup with the sun, it was pretty
manageable,
warm.
Yeah.
But the sun went down and all my whole hands and arms went numb. I'm like,
that's crazy.
In 30 seconds. Luckily, it was spoiled. You had to walk like across the street to get back to his house. But I was like, that's insane.
Yeah.
I don't think you realize the elements
until you're out there.
Yeah.
In them. And then it's like, damn, I'm so underprepared right now. And then I started ducking goose hunting in -degree weather in Crocs.
Yeah, you told me it was better because your feet would sweat.
So in the boots, even if they're insulated, my feet are sweating, and now I'm not moving, and now I'm like, damn, I'm gonna lose my toes.
It was like 10 or 12 degrees, right, when we went to start?
It was -10.
It was -10.
Yeah,
I was going to say, because it was cold.
When it was freezing.
Because we had the heater. Well, so that same week, I went to that deer place.
Yeah.
So that cold time.
That cold snap,
Because we were out there at like 4:30 a.m. trying to put the blind together. And I just remember, I was like, bro, it's like -6. Yeah. You're surprised at how much you can interact.
Oh, 100%. That's
bro.
why I smoke a blunt every time.
Yeah.
Before I have to start, bro. I'm just like, nope, I'm going to warm myself up and lock in. Boom. Go.
It's a lot more work than you think to set up, too.
Oh, 100%. And that's why I pride myself in being able to do all those blinds or the blind work, because, like, the hide is important. So.
And it's crazy. That was the cool part about goose hunting is, like, you don't have to be quiet.
No, we were chatting the whole time.
So it's just crazy to me how the hunting goes. Because turkey, we're quiet. Birds, you're quiet. Talking to the dog, so you're not super quiet, but you're not screaming.
No.
And then deer, you're as quiet as possible, and that's not enough.
Yeah.
But then in the geese, you're just sitting there talking, eating, and then it's like, hey, we got one coming in, and that's what's crazy about you all being professionals. And what's that outfitter called? Flatline. So you all are so professional and so good at it that you're like, this way over there, like y'all would see geese. I mean, far. I could barely see them. You're like, hey, they're gonna come and hover and circle, and then y'all are like, wait, okay, now, and then 20 of them drop. But it's like, how do they? I remember my first deer hunting ever was in Woodward.
Yeah.
And my friend Jason, who's my friend Hunter's best friend, he took me out there, and he has a ranch and hunts. He's in it. He's one of those country boys that you have to connect with that knows what they're doing.
Yeah.
We're in this field, and he's like, yeah, that deer way up there, he's gonna circle around. He's going to pop out about here. You'll be at about 40 or 50 yards, and you can try. And I'm like, what? And then 20 minutes goes by, and he's right there.
Yeah, and that's just patterning the animals. That's putting in windshield time, and that's why I credit the guys, Jay, Nate, Reese, Bryce. They will literally, as the sun, like, if we don't have groups or, like, one set of guys is out with, like, a group of clients, all the other guys, the second the sun goes up and birds are moving, they're following birds as they fly on the highway.
So that's why y'all were calling that day. 100%. And you're like, hey, they're over this lake.
Yeah, and they're on the reservoir still, or no, they're on this farmer's, on this farmer's wheat, or whatever the case may be, because we know they pattern them all week for this. They're bouncing from this field to this field, and then they're going to water and loaf here. So, like, we have to catch them here if we're running traffic, if we're on the X. Like, there's a lot that goes into it. Most of the time we're on the X, but there's times where we have to run traffic, so we have to put out a bigger spread, and you have to, like, know that they have been coming this way to even see you or to look at you.
Bro, yes.
So it's literally, that just boils down to putting in windshield time and knowing, like, where they've been, where they're going, what they're doing.
That's a lot of sits without hunting.
Like 100%.
100%.
Yeah, a lot of gas.
A lot of
miles,
gas, a lot of time, a lot of recon.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. It's just sitting and watching. And that's like why it's like when we put people in the hunts we do, it's cool. Because like a lot of the times people are like, bro, that was once in a lifetime. You just put us under 10,000 mallards, and they just kept coming.
That's how I felt, because I think I was ignorant to it growing up since I didn't hunt. So when I learned about hunting, I was like, okay, there's this, public land, doing it yourself. There's going to a lease and doing it yourself, because there's nothing wrong with having good land.
No.
Or there's going with someone that's an outfitter or a guide. And I did that with striper fishing just recently, and I did it with you on multiple things, and even solo hunts with you, which is cool because we got to see both. But it's so interesting how they can just do it. Like, you're like, no, this is so much skill. Like, for us to go in there and they're like, sit here, do this. It's just insane to me how, like, appreciative I was of it. I was like, this was so cool to learn, like, to know.
Just to experience it. And that's why I got hooked out here, is because, like, we goose hunted and duck hunted in Pennsylvania. That was fun. But I had never been under 10,000 birds. I've never been under a duck tornado like I am out here. I'm actually on a couple TV shows because they come down and film with our crew.
I believe it.
And it's just one of those things where I was like, bro, like I said, I don't even carry a gun. I just take it all in because it is a sight to see, bro. And it's just
crazy
one of those
how
things
fulfilling it is just to watch.
I'm just grateful to see it. That's what that boils down to. It's like, this is real life. Like, these animals do this. And, like, we're underneath it.
That's what caught me off guard is we get there. And that's why I just think, like, I'm so lucky, bro. Like, you're so gracious. We do all this work together and all this, and you're like, hey, I got you a spot. You got a gun, go in there. You got it. Like, and not, like, even thinking of yourself.
Yeah, I've done it a million times.
You're like,
For
no,
me,
get
it's
in there.
Cool. Like, go get your first goose, bro. Go out there and knock it out. Like, that in itself.
And
like,
it was crazy. Like, my first goose to have it, I was like, this is so dope.
Yeah.
And then to have it with people that you have such a good relationship with, it's like, dang, he's giving me these experiences that, like, I would have never had. Because I could have went duck or goose hunting with someone that kind of knows,
right.
or go to another outfitter and be like, oh, this is cool. But I'm not going to show up with the person that's connected with the outfitter, get to do some grind work in the beginning so I know how to do it myself.
How we operate. Like,
yeah, or maybe me and you go by ourselves one time,
but now
I'm going to know. You're going to be like, hey, do this. I'm like, I got it. You showed me how to do this.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was like so much work at first. I was like, we can get this done. And then me and you lock in and knock it out. And then got all those geese. I was surprised at how many geese those Cajun guys got.
Yeah, they could shoot. They were shooters, bro.
They had... handfuls.
Yeah,
I was
bro.
like,
and it's crazy because the limit when I first started hunting in Oklahoma was 3 geese per person per day. It's 8 now. That jump is crazy, but it's been
it
a
was
lot
a
of fun.
full ass blind.
Yeah, bro. It's
We had
20, 21 people, and we usually don't run hunts that big, but their party was actually that big. We don't combine parties hardly ever unless it's like a 2-person, 3-person group, and usually they're 7, 8, 9, 10 people. Like on average, we're at like 9, 10 people.
That was
plus 2 guides, so it's like it's never that
it's not
big.
bad.
They were like,
they were shooters.
Yeah, they were,
and they were nice people.
Yeah,
they were showing me love, and no, they don't know.
They had us at their cabin and cooked for us and stuff. Like, they were legit. And then I still talk to the one jiu-jitsu dude that trains with Dustin Poirier.
Yeah,
like, he follows me now on Instagram. He's always liking our shit, and he's like, yo, you gotta come down, bro. Like, he wants to go fishing and stuff. So it's like one of those things where, like, you meet a lot of cool people. And, like, what I thought was cool happened to me this past season. People rebooked and specifically asked to hunt with me. And I'm, like, part-time, bro. Like, they call me when... Yeah, they call me when they're just like, Sonny, you want to come hunt, bro? We need some help. We need an extra hand. Like, come pull up. You know, they pay me well. They've never not paid me. They've always been good to me. I don't pay for my gas. I don't pay for my food. And that goes between the guides and the owners. Like, they have always looked out for me.
That's awesome. Because you don't always see that good culture.
That's what I'm saying. And they've all, like, that's just how they are. And it's kind of cool because I was with them when they first started the company. Like, they had disbanded from another outfitter and just through mutual disagreements. And it was one of those things where, like, I was just like, you know what? Y'all show me mad love, and I have more of a relationship with you. I'm a ride with y'all. I still talk to the other dude that they separated because he does jiu-jitsu. He trains. Like, I know him. He's never done anything wrong to me, so I have no reason to hate this person.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So it was like I just kind of rode with them, and now to this day, they're just like, yeah, bro, whenever you want to come on. And that's why I'm able to take you, because I've cultivated that relationship with them. We're like, yo, my buddy Zach is driving, so we'll be there at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. They're like, cool, we'll be at the field probably 4:45. I'm like, all right, bet. And they'll send me the pin and we'll take off. But that's just like I've been hunting with them since 2014, so it's been like a decade now. And it was on a whim.
Wow.
My like adopted pops while I was in the military, he was one of our friends' uncles that was also in the military with us. And they introduced us, and we like immediately like, these are our people, you know. He's just an older couple, and they were just super nice, super like inviting. They were like, yeah, bring the kids over. They can sleep in this room. You guys can have that room. A really nice house. And he never had kids before. So I was like his son. He was like, come on, son, let's go. And like he'd been hunting his whole life. He's hunted elk in Colorado. He's fished the mountains. Like he's from Texas, quail hunting. He had German short hair pointers.
Okay.
So like that's where we like really mutually connected, and we ran our dogs together. Like
Is that a thing when you're with other like professional style hunters like that have that experience? Like if you run your dogs together, like y'all are connected.
Yeah,
now?
like because you have to trust another person and their dog.
Yeah, because their dog could like snip yours or something.
Or not, or just fuck up a point or a flush. Like you have to know that person's dog is gonna honor your dog's point. By honoring, they're just gonna see your dog pointing and stop and point, and they'll just point to point because they
like,
see
they
the other
found
dog.
it.
They found it. Now they're pointing that dog. It's just honoring the point. And his dog did it because his dog was very well trained, and then like my dog was, he did it off like that. I'll never get a dog like that again because he just was just raw and just it was just like. He didn't need much, and he would naturally retrieve the hand. He would bring it back, sit down, put it in my hand, bro. It was like, you have to teach him that. That's just what it was.
His instincts.
And that's when I was like, I started getting into bloodlines, and then I learned that he's got
you
like
taught me about that.
27 champions on one side and 14 on the other, and I'm like, oh my God, this makes sense.
Because I remember you had like awards, and then you were
That was
telling me
me
about how you
titled.
help other people's
Yeah,
dogs.
like I titled all my short hairs, had at least a junior hunter, senior hunter through the AKC, because I'm like, that was my way to extend the hunting season. I would go out and hunt, and then during the spring and early fall, when nothing's in season, guess what I'm doing? Running trials, shooting birds over my dogs. And like I said, I enjoyed just working the dog. So like me being able to work the dog, and I'm not shooting the bird, I'm firing a blank. The bird gets to fly off and do whatever it does. And the dog got to work, point, flush, blah, blah, blah. Senior hunter, you have to shoot. They retrieve in senior hunter, so some birds died then. But they're all pen-raised birds, specifically farmed for tests and stuff. And I got to travel the country. I was down in Texas, Ohio, Missouri, Indy. Like, there was one time, me and Miranda took 2 dogs. We were just like, you know what? We're going to run them up to Ohio. Left at like...
2 you were training? Or you were going to run dogs?
We were going to run dogs. These were my dogs.
Oh, yours at the time, yeah.
And she was like, all right, cool, what do you need me to do? I was like, I need you to run Poppy. Just run Poppy for me. At the same time I'm running around. They'll hunt together. They already know. We left at 7:30 on a Friday. Got there at like 11 in the morning on Saturday. Ran the dogs, ate lunch, and came back home to Oklahoma.
Wow.
Nuts.
But y'all are like that. That's something I would talk crap about you, like being goofy. I'd be like, no, he'll drive 20 hours and then come right back. He's crazy.
Yeah, literally. Like, it's just for the experience alone and just like taking it all in. And those guys, I still talk to that dude because in that circle, bro, to see young people doing it,
yeah, it's like a lost art.
Everyone there is ecstatic.
Yeah, because it's like, it's not a lost art, but like, stuff isn't passed down like it used to. You have to find someone that's passionate.
Exactly.
For anything.
And that was their thing. They were just like, I just can't believe, how old are y'all? And at the time, I'm like, 26, 27.
And they'll give you everything.
Yeah, and they're like, you want to do this? Here's my card. Let me know if you're ever here. You know, you have a place to stay. You can kennel your dogs at my kennels, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, this is incredible. And I still talk. They're like, if you ever want a stud, my dog's available, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And I'm just like, bro, this is cool. And they were always so welcoming, and it was insane. And I met a couple black dudes running dogs, and that's something I'm just gonna keep it real. You don't see. Mm-hmm. Most people, they don't have that, like, inner city people do not have that like opportunity to go outdoors and experience stuff like that. So when you see that, like, he saw me as another minority and came right over and started chopping me up.
I gravitate to it even when I see it. Like, I will watch shows and stuff, and you'll see these people working dogs, and if it's a minority group, you're like, oh no, that's a whole culture. Like, their whole family does it. Their family's family
like,
does it.
His great grandfather taught him how, like, taught his dad, who taught blah blah blah, and they went down the line, and he ran just English pointers, and God, they were beautiful dogs.
Wow.
I'm talking.
So German short hairs and then English pointers.
Yeah, and then there's like the Brittany, and then there's the French pointer, which just looks like a German short hair, and there's all kinds of gun dogs that are just incredible dogs. I want a Bavarian Mountain Hound as my next scent hound. Like, there's just so many cool dogs that do awesome jobs. But I'm still stuck on my short hairs, bro. Like, those are my guys.
They're gorgeous. When we see them, we like them. We're not in the phase of getting any more dogs, but we appreciate those a lot.
Yeah, because they are beautiful. And it's cool because my dog's son is having puppies, so I might get one.
Okay.
I might carry on the lines. Because I have my dog's daughter, and that's my daughter's dog, actually.
What's her name?
Callie. and she is just an athletic specimen. But I don't think she's.
Is there a difference in the female male on the pointing working?
Not that I've seen.
Do ones do other stuff?
No, not that I've seen, because like I said, the bloodlines, bro, they're just on it.
It's DNA.
Yeah, it's like their lines are just incredible. And Callie herself, I'm not going to use her as a pointing dog because she's got such a natural retrieve and natural marking. Like I can sit her, tell her to place, and fling a bumper as far as I can, and she won't move unless I release her, and then I release her and she remembers where it goes. And I'll throw 2 or 3 and she'll recall after each one, and I'll send her and she'll remember that mark and she'll naturally go and find that bumper.
Which is a huge skill, because my Jack Russell, even though he's like so skilled at fetch and stuff, we can throw the ball, and if it gets stuck under some grass sometimes and he looked away for a second, he's like, I can smell it, but and he's too high pace, he can't even find it.
And it's one of those, she's good at blind retrieves too. She will sit around and work that area. Her dad was like that. Like my dog was like that. So like I see how the genetics carry into play.
That's so insane.
That's why I'm like, I can't get away from these dogs.
No, because even when I was watching, I was like, why's this dog like
obviously in one spot, like more than another? Like,
well, yeah, and he cares what you're saying.
Yeah,
but he doesn't care about nothing else.
Nope. Like he'll respond to me, huh, 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 and then he'll look back.
He's working.
Or I'll whistle, and they'll break, and they'll go this way and go that way. Because I've whistle trained mine too. Like I can hand signal them if they're looking, but if not, I can blow a whistle, and 2 means stop, 1 means change direction. If I blow it long, toot, 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 they're coming back. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where like, you train your dog how you want, but like, I'm gonna use them where they're naturally inclined, and she's a retriever.
That's smart too, not trying to force something.
Yeah, and because now my job is easy. Now I'm just giving her something she wants to do, so she's just gonna go do it. And that's what people don't realize about dogs, is they want to do things. You just got to figure out how they want to do it, get them to do it, and then show them there's another way to do it, and then reward that way. And that's kind of like the mental game that you play with dogs, because they are intelligent. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, they are still animals, so you kind of got to bridge that gap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot of patience, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, and that's another thing. I never had patience. Going back to patience as a virtue, that's something I was always told my whole life. You have no patience. You have no patience.
Me too.
You have no patience. Yep. And every single thing I love doing takes patience.
Oh, bro.
Growing cannabis, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
That's not an overnight thing.
No.
That's 4 or 5 months at a time
and
before I see a reward.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then training a dog, that's constant repetition. Going out and wanting to hunt, you have to,
like you have to want to do it, because it's an activity that takes exertion.
Like, yeah, and it's just one of those things where it's like you have to be patient. You can't just expect them to come right on time. They're animals too. You have to sit and wait. Deer hunting is patience.
Deer hunting, yeah.
Turkey hunting is patience. You know what I mean? Everything I enjoy takes a remarkable amount of patience, and I am not a patient person. So that's how I know I love those things.
It's funny that we've learned that, because we both said we're not patient, but we do all these patient things.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Like, I just watched you make us espresso.
Yeah.
And if you didn't want to do that, like, that was a lot of work, bro.
Yeah, that was a process to get it right. And that's because I'm passionate about it, so I was like, no, I want his to be good.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's over trial and error and taking your time, patience and learning, and boom, boom, boom. It's delicious, by the way, but like, that's just going back to patience and wanting to do something. So it's just like one of those things where it's like, hunting has rewarded me. This is what I've learned, so I enjoy doing it. And then, like you said, paying it forward. Getting those people those opportunities. I love taking people out for their first time. Because I know 90% of the time it's going to be an experience. Because thankfully, like I said, the outfitter that I'm a part of they're awesome people. So if I'm like, hey, can I bring my buddy? They're like, yeah, no problem. Because they know if I'm bringing someone, they're going to help. They're not going to be a fucking bum or an idiot and not safe with their weapon, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So because they don't know me, and that was my first time goose hunting.
Exactly. And they were just like, yeah, bring him by. If he's cool with you, I'm sure he's cool. Boom. And I'm able to do that with people. And for me, that's fun in itself, because I get to watch the awe in people who have never thought to be under 10,000 mallards.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane, because we've hunted so many times, and it's never been almost we've only hunted like 1 or 2 things twice. Like most of the time it's been
something different.
It's deer, turkey, quail, this and that. So it's kind of interesting that we bounce around.
And that's the cool part with Oklahoma, is it is so different in the topography and what we have here. Like, there's flat land, there's a bit of mountains, there's like forest and streams and stuff. So you have the opportunity to experience so many different kinds of hunting and fishing that I was just like sold. Like I said from earlier, like I came down here, realized you can, hunt quail and pheasant, got a dog, and I was just like, yeah, Oklahoma is it. This is it for me. I can train here, do what I want, hunt what I want. I mean, as a business owner, I think it's a great place to be a business owner because Oklahomans support other Oklahomans like nowhere I've ever seen except Texas.
Yeah, that's true.
Like Oklahomies are Oklahomies. Like if you're from Oklahoma, like I was amazed when I learned about the Keep It Local.
Yeah.
That Keep It Local card that they had and like all the people of
It's
local businesses. It's huge. And they'll give you discounts for being a Keep It Local member. Like I was like, wow, this is like, you get the city, but it's like small town vibes because it's the only thing around because it hasn't been, really built out. And I seen it. That was back in 2011 when I got here. Now I seen it grow so much and exponentially so to where it's like, it's a great place to be because while it's grown, there's still so much room for growth. So why would you not want to be a part of that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's definitely a great home base.
Yeah.
I love to travel, and that's one of my favorite things now in the last couple years. International, around the U.S., whatever. It's just something I love, whether it's a day trip or a month.
Yeah.
But there's something special about coming back. I will say I'm not messing with these summers. The last 2 years, the heat is annoying me at this point. I guess it took 30 years. But other than that, like the home base feel you get is nice because I love going around the city and running into people that I know. But it's so crazy because on the flip side, when someone asks me what I like about traveling, I always tell them my favorite thing is being somewhere where no one knows me and there's no expectations and I'm being myself and I'm creating genuine relationships with random people.
Because
like it's insane. I've even got a couple podcast guests, hopefully later this year when I go back to the UK, that I met over there that do a lot of stuff in their communities, but they were just willing to do it because we spent some time together.
Right. And that's cool as hell.
It's wild.
Absolutely. It's just one of those things, bro. You gotta take what life gives you. It's kind of the lesson I've learned. Because, like, you can plan for anything, everything, and then all it takes is one fuck up, and you're like, damn, what do I do now? Like,
oh, bro,
life can go south 0 to 100 real quick. So, like, learning to be adaptable and just take what life gives you and weigh risk and reward and be able to do what you want is just like, it's fire. And that's kind of why I live the way I do. It's just because, like, when you accomplish something, it's that much more sweet because you wanted to do it. It's not because someone told you to or, you seen it and was like, I can do that. It's you genuinely was like, I'm gonna go out and do this today. That's
and
why
it worked.
Yeah, and it worked. It was just one of those things where it's like, I'm grateful for my experiences.
I'm grateful for the mindset to be willing to suck at stuff.
100%, because most people don't have that.
No, they're so embarrassed to do something.
Yeah, and I'm like, bro, you have to be willing to be hilariously bad at something before you get good at it. And that's what I try and tell my kids. It's like, bro, you're not going to be good off rip. And if you are, you're a prodigy. That's just how that works. And you're just going to get exponentially better throughout. But, like, you have to be comfortable with sucking. And you have to embrace that suck.
Yeah.
And come out on the other side like, oh, I did it. So it can be done.
It was hard, but it's okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And it's like nothing ventured, nothing gained, risk versus reward. Like, high risk, high reward. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where, like, I like making big promises and over-delivering.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that makes me feel good. Like, yeah, I'll match your energy, but then here I am. Boom, I got you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just because I like doing that. Like, I like being around people who exude positivity, but also, like, that they're going to match your energy without trying. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things that I'm grateful for because I have surrounded myself with people like that.
Yeah, it's authentic.
Yeah, it's not like it's forced and it's like, yo, come do this. I'm like, oh, bet. That sounds like a plan. You know what I mean?
Most of the time you don't ask for something, like, unless you're serious. When you're on our type of mindset, I feel like.
Yeah.
Stuff is genuine. Like, hey, can we do this, this, and this? Or, hey, I need this. Or even if I call and it's a quick thing. Like, hey, Sonny, I really have a question about this subject. You're like, hey, do this. I remember just reaching out to you and texting you for hunts I was doing by myself.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, go here, show up here. You need to be there at this time. If you're late, it's going to be this.
Yeah.
And then they work out. And I think it's cool to have that trust. It's a cool thing.
It's crazy that you say that because I have people, bro, and this blew my mind. And I take pride in this now as an adult because I have people that'll call me and ask me for advice before they call their parents. And they flat out said to me, like, bro, when I called you that day, I didn't even call my mom yet. And I was just like, what? He was like, bro, you thought about it already and you sent me everything I needed and now here I am. And I'm like, what? For real? He's like, bro, I was so stuck. And like, it's crazy because like, it's always dudes. And I'm appreciative. Like, this is why I take pride in this because a lot of dudes don't have anybody. Mm-hmm. So it's one of those things where I might get emotional because like I've seen my homies cry to me as like a man. And it's one of those things where it's like, I'm glad I could be there for you because I've been there.
Oh, I'm definitely on the same emotion. I love that you can be willing to be that open. Yeah. And I feel like when I grew up, I was like that. But in the last few years, I'm just so serious about giving people their flowers.
100%. I've lost a lot of people over the last few years.
Oh, yeah.
Like I'm getting choked up now.
You're fine. I'm lucky
it's just one of those things. It's like, to be that person for somebody, it means a lot. Because there's times where I'm like, yo, I don't think I could do this. Mm-hmm. Like, and the only person I had was my wife. Yeah. That's why we're so tight. Because it's like, yo, I don't know what to do. And she's like, yo, you need to fucking relax. You are too hard on yourself. So when I have homies that can come do that with me, it's one of those things where like, I feel good because like to not have somebody is terrible. I can only imagine what that's like.
I mean, I go through that with my wife because she always stands down for me on everything and can give me a fresher perspective. But 100%. I have a friend who's had a tough life. I mean, a lot of us have, but he's had it tough and went through some really interesting things that most people would quit from, whether it was like bad choices or drugs or alcohol or whatever. And randomly I'm working, showing houses, and he calls me. We haven't talked in 2 years. I just say, hey, you guys enjoy the house and step outside. And I talk to him. He's like, man, I was just having a really bad day and I just wanted to talk to you because I know you're going to keep it real. Yeah. And you're on the same level as far as the emotion. Right. And I was so appreciative of it. And that's something that just means the world to me. And you don't ever know what you did for somebody.
Exactly. That's it.
You don't know.
Yeah, 100%.
Whether it's you to me or some random thing I did for someone I don't even like really hang out with.
It changed their whole
life.
Yeah. And that's one of, like I said, I take pride in that because like I've lost a lot of people to suicide. Mm-hmm. A lot of people. Mm-hmm. And it's just things that if people around them paid attention, they would have known. Mm-hmm. And like, I have 2 friends that reached out to me and was like, bro, if we didn't have that talk, I don't know if I would be here. And like, that hit me. I was like, damn, bro, like what? I was just chopping it up. Like I was just being an ass at that time. And he called me, he was like, bro, you know, how you doing? How you been? I'm like, bro, I'm higher than giraffe pussy right now. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, what the fuck? What's going on? And I kind of chopped it up with him. He was like, bro, I'm glad I called you. And I was like, I didn't know what the fuck that meant at the time. And then like 2-3 years later down the road, he's like, bro, you remember when I called you that day, bro? I was like inches from just
calling it.
Yeah. And I was like, no way. And now he's like, he's got a kid, he's chilling, like he's got a great family life. And I'm just like, bro, I'm glad you didn't do that. You know what I mean? So that's one of those things. That's why I do things and not expect anything in return. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where it was like, if I can do it and like make somebody feel good, I'm gonna do it. Mm-hmm. That's what it boils down to for me.
Yeah, no, I get it because I struggled with it when I was growing up that you would expect something back. But then I noticed I was always just giving and I thought that was a bad thing.
Right.
But it's actually like a great trait.
You ever read The Go-Giver?
Yeah.
Great book. Yeah. That's kind of like, I was like, man, I've been doing this my whole life. And I didn't even realize it. Mm-hmm. And it's just, when I read that, I was like, I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep going. You know what I mean? It's like, at the end of the day, you're happy, somebody else is happy, no one got hurt. What's the problem?
It speaks to me on the grateful side because I don't think we would act that way if we weren't grateful for that. Because that feeling means so much to you. Even when you came over today, we see each other all the time, bro.
Oh, yeah.
But that respect that I've gotten with other men as an adult with great human beings is insane. Like, I never hugged so many friends in my life. I didn't grow up hugging my friends. It was just dapping them up and moving on.
Facts.
But I come in from taking the trash out when you get here, and you hop out of the chair to give me a hug, and I just saw you a few days ago.
Yeah.
But it's, like, I want it too.
Yeah.
You know, and I think some people are so scared of their emotions that they let them hold them back.
Right.
To where I'm so open to giving people their flowers. That's why I wanted to bring you on here, is because you've done so much for me, and we've glanced at a lot of it because
Right.
you've done so much. But like genuinely a brother that I can see later on down the line living next to on some acreage.
Right.
And like,
and
oh,
just
is this the
chilling.
compound?
Well,
Yeah, that's my man Sonny.
Cool. Yeah. That's the type of relationships I enjoy, because like you really can just be yourself. You don't have to put on a facade, and I think that's where people get this anxiety and this depression from, because they're so busy not being themselves.
Yeah.
And it's
instead
like,
of being
that's
them
exhausting.
and just living with it.
Yeah, that's exhausting. Like, yo, I get it. I make mistakes. Sometimes I've toned down quite a bit, but I was just real pompous. And I don't know if it was just overconfidence or just cockiness, but like, it was just one of those things I had to learn to be tactful. You can be confident in yourself without being a dickhead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's one of the things I kind of be tactful. And once I learned that, I kind of started, again, appreciating more and able to give more without taking away from myself. Because like you said, you give, it gets exhausting.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you're filling your cup too.
Right, but at the same time, when you're around the right people, you may be giving, but they're filling your cup at the same time. So it doesn't feel like you're doing anything. And that's the relationships that like I surround myself with now. And it's cool because everyone I surround myself with now they're all doing something for themselves. Like you're chasing your dreams. Shakir's doing his thing. Like Emily and G, they're fucking crushing. Like G has his gym, Emily's got her career. My boy Brandon Shellin, my son's wrestling coach, opened up his academy. It is absolutely crushing it. So it's easy for me to want to take risks and be better when I'm surrounded by people who literally are, one, selfless because they're just kind of giving to everyone in the ways they know how, but they're also like, it's like, oh, it can be done. You know what I mean? Like you just gotta lock in and keep going.
Yeah.
That's why I tell you, like, I got that from you. I'm always keep going. Like if you got breath, you could keep going. You feel me? So it's one of those things. That's the one thing like I took from you for sure, is because go to any comment thread that any one of our homies is doing, I'm keep going. And then I'll see you, keep going, bro. I'm just like, yeah, bro. Everybody we are around, they're actively trying to better themselves. So for me, it's not hard to want to better myself, because then I know, like when we get together, it's just gonna be fun because there's nothing negative to bitch about. We're all in a place where we like appreciate everything, and it's kind of like now we can just enjoy life.
We already did the hard work.
Exactly, and that's what people don't get. You lock in for just a little bit. It don't take much. You lock in 4, 5, 6 months, sometimes a year. Granted, you like I said, you get out what you put in. And if you can lock in and dial in what you're good at, find your niche and go, a year from then, you're able to spend all the time you want doing anything. Now I'm waking up at 3, 4 a.m.
Which is insane. I see your stories and I just get sick.
hitting the grow. You're funny.
I see it. I'm like, bro, he's crazy as hell. And he's coming to kick it with me after. What?
And it's crazy because like my lights go on at 3. So I'm there when the lights go on, and I spend 5, 6 hours. My kids are still sleeping at that time, so I'm not missing anything. So at that point I get home, they have a strength and conditioning session, or I have a strength and conditioning session, or I have a private with Aranda and either G or Emily or Shakir. We gonna knock that out by 10:30, 11 a.m. My day is done. I have all this time now to spend with my wife. We got some time together. We can kick it, kind of see where we're at, game plan for the rest of the day, the week, what we want to do this month with the kids, blah, blah, blah. And then I have all this time to kick it with the kids. And like my kids, they're big on gaming. My daughter likes drawing. I was a big drawer too. So like now we have that. My daughter and I will draw. She loves graffiti. She loves anime, blah, blah, blah. So now we lock in on that. My son games. We'll play games together, and we'll lock in on that. But he also wrestles, so we're always wrestling around the house.
I remember we had to talk about that when you posted his pictures and stuff, and you were telling me how impactful it was to you to be able to pay it forward and then see him like it.
And then he actually enjoyed it because, bro, if you know my son, he's the most like super chill. Just leave me alone, like person ever. And he gets into wrestling, and it's just like, he was so unsure of himself, and he was like, I have to go this hard for this long all the time? Like, this is a wrestling match? And like, he's going through practice, and he's dying, bro. And he's like, sprinting circles and he's crying because it hurts to run. He's never run this much after so much like exertion, and he just kept going. He's never quit. And then he gets to his first tournament ever and places, and he gets a medal. And he's like locked in at that point. He's like, medals, bro? Medals? And I'm just like, yeah, that's cool, but you gotta, remember what you're learning. He's like, yeah, but there's medals. And I'm like, if that's what you're gonna take away from it now, go ahead, go have it.
Yeah, that's what you like take it from it.
And because he was winning and it was fun for him, that's what kept him going. So I was able to lock in with him with that. And like, they both like fishing, so we'll go and fish and we'll do whatever. And like, they take care of the chickens, so we're always messing with the chickens and dealing with that.
They're learning a lot of real life skills.
And they're just like, this is so much better than school. And I'm like, yeah. And
you don't even know what school is really like.
And they would be like, this was dumb. Like, and my kids don't like busy work. Like, they will ask why, and I'll explain, because like I said, I didn't like being told do something and not why. But I also explain to them, hey, time and place with the why. Don't just question me because you pull me aside, like, why are we doing this? And that's what they do now. So it's like one of those things where it's like they're always learning, and we're grateful that we took the time to actually be parents. You know what I mean? It's crazy because I say that, and I've learned and I've seen that most parents, one, treat their kids as accessories, not actual, like, they're the future, bro. You realize that what you teach them down is what they pass on, and the ideas and your legacy is how that boils down. Like, no matter which way you cut it, your memory is going to be left with them. So at the end of the day, you have to instill in them the values to be a good person. My end goal is to raise good people that contribute.
Yeah.
And if I want to do that by providing them as much information as possible, in order for every decision they make, they know how to weigh the pros and the cons and think through the entire process. So when they make that decision, it's informed. Most people don't do that.
No. Adults, kids, whatever.
And that's what I was gonna say. Like, even adults to this day don't do that. They just like, oh, they told me to do this, so that's what I'm gonna do. Like, I forget who it was. They're like, yo, my doctor told me I needed fiber, so they put me on a fiber pill. I was like,
yeah, what about like oatmeal?
I was like, bro, you could just eat some broccoli? He's like, I don't like broccoli. I was like, bro, there's a million ways to get fiber that's not a pill with
whatever in
side
it.
effects, bro.
Yeah.
And like, you don't know what's in that. He's like, it's just easier. And that's when I realized people will trade convenience for just about anything. And I'm just like, I would rather be slightly inconvenienced and know what I'm doing than to blindly trust people who don't have my best interest at heart. They're looking bottom dollar how much money they're gonna make. So it's one of those things where I'm like, look, I keep it real with my kids. They want to know how much groceries was, we're gonna break it down. This is how much this cost, this is how much taxes was. Taxes? Like, yeah, you pay taxes on groceries, you pay taxes on everything. Your dollar's always taxed. So now they know. When I buy something, I have to equate for tax. So if it says $19.99, it's not $20, I gotta pay taxes on it. So they're not walking in blind, like, don't know how money works. They don't know how, supply and demand works. It's like, now they have to know all these things because I want them to be well equipped. I didn't know any of these things. And my financial advice was save your money.
Yeah.
For what?
Mine too.
Like, what are we saving for? And then I talk to all these people in places I want to be. They're like, saving? Yeah, sure, but is your money working for you? And I was like, what?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
And they're like, yeah, you can make money with your eyes closed, and that money makes you more money, and that, and then blah, blah. And I'm just like, change the game for me. Because now I'm just like, why are we working so hard for 4 hours that all we do is sit in front of a television? At that point, you're not enjoying life. You're just kind of existing.
Yeah.
Like, people die but never live. And it's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to be that way. And that's why it's like, I'm trying to teach that to my kids now. And they've had the craziest life because I told you, I felt like I've lived a bajillion lives. My daughter just came to me the other day and she's like, we've done so much in so little time. I was like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you guys are fighting again, but I feel like y'all fought so many years ago a lot. And I was like, yeah. It's just so crazy because that seems like so long ago. And she's like, and I'm only 11.
And to have that competence, like, to say that is crazy.
And it's one of those things where, like, we've always talked to them like people. We've never goo gaga them. We've never me. No. And I've always talked to them straight up like they were adults. Yeah. Like, I don't go out of my way to cuss at them, but when they do something stupid, they hear about it. I also bully the fuck out of them because nobody's gonna bully you like me. And too many kids these days are soft and they take words to heart. And I'm like, bro, people can have an opinion of you. They can think what they want, but at the end of the day, they're not lacing up your shoes. They're not putting on your clothes and living your life, making the decisions you make. You have to remember that people will always have opinion no matter what you do, whether it's something they like or not. And you have to take that and run with it. And you'll find your people, your vibe attracts your tribe, and you'll understand what it is at that point. It's like when my parents would say, show me who you hang out with, I'll show you who you are. Mm-hmm. I didn't understand that till I was an adult. Yeah. Then I start surrounding myself with people like you, Tez, Shakir, David, G, like all these people doing meaningful things. And it's like, oh yeah, you sit at the right tables, doors are gonna open.
Yeah.
And it's just like, now I understand what this means.
Oh, choices matter.
Yeah, it's like everything my parents says was 100% accurate. I wish they would have done a better job at explaining it. Because when you ask for an explanation, it's like, are you disrespecting me? Are you questioning me? No, I'm just trying to understand why. I didn't want to be that parent. So that's why I take the time to be like, boom, 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 boom. And they're just like, oh yeah, so we're not going to do that. That sounds crazy. And then they'll wait. They're like, nope, juice ain't worth the squeeze. I'm like, good. I'm glad you see it that way.
Yeah, like I'm glad you made that decision.
Yeah, like we'll give them information and be like, go ahead. You're not gonna get in trouble one way or another. Now you can make an informed decision. Because I've made plenty of stupid decisions. Even after learning even before, I'll know something and I still go make the wrong decision. But that now I know what not to do, why I shouldn't do it. You know what I mean? And like, oh yeah, this is that for a reason. You know, so now I go back and I'm like, I should have did this like the first time and I'd have saved all this time. So this is what I'm going to teach. And at the same time, that's kind of like a blessing and a curse because then I'm like, I feel like I do things the hard way on purpose, intentionally.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why do I do this to myself? And it's one of those things where it's just like, well, I'm here, send it.
That seems to be the steady message though.
Yeah, just do it and figure it out afterwards. Like, one way or another, it's going to work. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Man, I got to say, bro, like, your energy is infectious for sure. Like, your positivity just bleeds out. And the attention to detail with your fatherhood, your marriage, your life. Like, I know I've said it multiple times, but I appreciate you coming on here to tell a little about your story, but more about just how you look at things.
Right.
You're a blessing, man, and
I appreciate you.
I appreciate every conversation we have, but this was very refreshing for me, and I love you and appreciate you, bro. I really appreciate you. Sure. Thank you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're gonna get out of here. We appreciate y'all turning in. Keep going.